Ready.
You come over here. Good morning, welcome.
Wait, we have to start this one. Hello.
No, we don't.
Oh, again?
All right. Flag the tape. We're going to cut that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Tie-dye Jeff Markow, bon vivant of the Villages and expert ice cream maker. Christy Brown, vice president of sales, Emery Thompson Machine. Christy sells more machines and makes more money for Emery Thompson in 1 week than the government can spend in a month. I'm Steve Thompson, boss man. And Christy, we've had a lot of exciting things in the past week. We just turned 120, and you don't look a day over 90.
Thanks.
120 years in business, started by my grandfather, Emery Thompson. Thank you very much. It actually even gets better. We found out yesterday afternoon at noon that our ranking, that we are in the Inc. magazine, Incorporated magazine, as one of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in the United States. So maybe it was up at the high end, but it was still in the 5,000. And so we continue to grow and get bigger, and we're ready to make some ice cream. What flavors are we doing today?
We are starting off with French toast ice cream, and then a...
Wait. French toast ice cream.
Ooh. I take it that's one of yours. Looking forward to it.
Oh, and then we have a very special flavor we're making, Moonshine Mountain Cookies.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, you're
That
gonna
is
love
from
this.
a couple here. They own Moonshine Mountain Cookie Company, and they brought some of their cookies for us to make a wonderful ice cream. So we're all super excited
And
about that.
they don't know it, but Mr. and Mrs. Moonshine are going to help us make the ice cream.
They are.
They do have real names, we just don't know what they are.
And typical Jeff, mango cream ice always changes it. So Jeff, what are we making?
Mango ice cream.
There we go. Okay. And then followed by butterscotch, then guava berry ice cream, and a sangria Italian ice, because we are in the summer.
One quick thing about Jeff's ice cream, he made last time a vanilla, what was in it?
Honey?
Honey vanilla, and it was unbelievable. I couldn't stop eating it. And just one of the little tips that I learned from Jeff, I'm always learning. I know I always kid him and tell him that he's always wrong, which he mostly is, but I learned so many great tips from him, so you really want to listen today. One of them was, I went out and bought some honey to make something about a year and a half ago. And I went to Walmart and bought a 55-gallon drum of honey for $9.95. And that's exactly what it tasted like. It was horrible. So Jeff taught me, as he always says, if you want the world's greatest ice cream, you just need the very best ingredients. It's just that simple.
Been doing this class. Ready? Okay. Because we've been doing this class for 10 years now, we've really gone through an awful lot of recipes. So now the focus, my focus at least, is, I'm sure Christy also, we're trying to come up with new things. So in giving this a little thought the last couple of weeks, I decided to try, I came across a few Torani flavors that I thought would be interesting. So today we'll make French toast ice cream. Never did it before, but why not play a little, right? So it was originally, never mind. Okay, so these are the bladders. There's a bunch of students here who took my class the last couple of days, and they know most of this stuff, but I'll go through it for everyone else. These are the bladders. This is how the ice cream mix, as we all call it, comes. Comes 2 bladders to a box, which is called a case, and the price has gone up, of course, as everything has, but it's still minor. Right? We went through the profit. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to make, this is a 24 or a 12?
24.
All right. We're going to make a half batch. In my book that I only brought 4 in case anybody wants to buy one, but in the book, the recipes are broken down by the size of the machine. When I make a recipe, I make it for my 24, which I have. And it requires 1 full bladder. And today, because it's only us here, we're going to make half batch. So instead of 10, we'll use 5 quarts. There's 10 quarts in here, we'll use 5. And let's see, that should do it. Now, you know the trick we just did, right? When you're pouring stuff with a measuring on it, yesterday, actually, Monday in class, somebody was trying to pour into one of these things. And, of course, what you do is you put it down here, and you try to pour and look at it at the same time. So we came up with a way to combat that so you don't spill it and break your neck and everything else. And that is simply turn it around like this so these are here, and as you're pouring, you can easily see it. That's 25 cents a person for that tip. All right, this is the machine. It's been sanitized. It's all ready to go. And we're going to pour, let's see. The ingredients for this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll have 6 ingredients in this, which is at least 4 more than I normally do, but we'll give it a shot. I was going to make this with simply using French toast Tyranny and cream, and I'm sure it would be good, but I thought let's jazz it up a little bit and put a swirl through it, a variegate. Remember we did that? A nice variegate. And the variegate will use brown sugar, a little maple syrup, cinnamon, and some cinnamon brown sugar crunchies. And that will make a swirl through it. You'll see. So first we'll put this in the machine. Remember when you're pouring in the machine, the higher you hold it, the narrower the stream, the easier it is to fill. All right. Vanilla. Let's put a little vanilla. My rule of thumb is I like 1 ounce of vanilla per 1 quart. It's a little radical, but hell, I don't pay for it. So we'll do that. Still comes from Darian, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so we'll add how many ounces?
5.
Ooh, tough crowd, you know. So we'll add 5 ounces of vanilla. And we'll fire up the machine. There's a pano on here. 1 shot, and you have 2 choices. Make ice cream, get help. Let's press get help. So we'll make ice cream, we'll make a homemade, and we'll start it up. Now all that's in there is the mix and the vanilla. So let's add some flavoring to it. We'll see how much we should add. Say when. Say when.
No. That's it.
Okay, when.
You missed the vanilla.
Yeah, I'm afraid to see it. You mean Steve's
And,
free vanilla?
Let's free vanilla, and let's taste it and see where we are. Wow, that's excellent. Okay, so I'm going to shut the machine now. Now that I know we're ready to roll, because I want to get our variegate started, because that'll take a little time. So the variegate.
Here's that squishy.
Doesn't stop bugging me. Doesn't stop bugging me. All right. For the variegate, the main thing, 2 really important things, the flavor of it and the consistency of it. Because as you'll see later, we're going to try to create a swirl. Remember vanilla fudge ice cream growing up? It was white, but they had these dark swirls going through it, and boy, you couldn't wait to get your spoon around that. So what we'll do is I picked out some ingredients. I guess it'll be all right. The first thing we're going to do is go to the Ninja and grind up some of these. These are Belvita crunchy cinnamon brown sugar wafers.
They're my favorite.
You've had these?
Oh, I have them every night.
You're kidding.
Oh, before I go
Here,
to
have
bed, I
one.
eat a bag. Thank you.
There you
Oh,
go.
this is just great. There's finally some perks in this job.
So we'll add a few of those, and we'll see what happens. Is that what this was for?
Your variegate.
No, this is for the ice cream, right?
Right, right.
Okay. All right, so let's take a clear one, even though you don't want to use clear ones. When you're buying the containers, they're Cambro containers, and really, they're excellent. They last forever. Not these. These last forever. There's two kinds of plastic in the world, probably more. There's polystyrene and polypropylene. One is polystyrene, one is polypropylene. I don't know which is which, but don't get the clear ones. They crack in a relatively short period of time. These, I've had the same ones for going on 15 years. They just don't break.
Jeff, I had a customer yesterday ask where to buy. I told him the name, I looked at it in the bottom, and I was telling him what you said about buy the translucent ones.
Right.
Where do you get them?
You can get them on Webstaurant, but I like to just go to a Restaurant Depot. Everybody has one near them within an hour. It takes me an hour and 10 minutes, but I go every Sunday to Restaurant Depot. It's that good. And they have every kind of these. They have the big ones for the sugar that'll keep your sugar in your place. They have all the different sizes of them. Here's half gallon, full gallon. They have 6 quart. I use the 1 gallon. And with a lid, they sell them separately. But to get with the lid runs you about $4.50, maybe $4.79 or something each. But they last forever.
I use the big ones to keep our dog food in for the girls.
Absolutely.
Because it seals so tight. And they also have the measuring on the side.
Right. They're great.
Yeah,
they really are.
They
Good
are
company.
they are terrific.
Let's just throw them all in. What the hell?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if we have enough. We'll make it have enough. Your first purchase when you decide you're going to open a store should be a Ninja. It's hands down the greatest. 6 blades that you can't touch. I mean, they'll slice your finger in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
But much better than all the other blenders with the 3 on the bottom. You know, even the Vitamix, which is what I had, and I sold it. I gave it away because no good. All right, so we have this starting for a variegate. We'll add some cinnamon because French toast, cinnamon, right? That works. So we'll add a little cinnamon. And also, I thought about French toast, Mrs. Butterworth's. I would have used real maple syrup, but couldn't get it.
There's some on the shelf.
Real maple syrup?
Yes.
Or molasses?
Real maple syrup.
I'll take it.
Now,
100%.
please don't call us up and ask for Jeff's recipe because even Jeff doesn't know it. It's a little of this,
thank you.
a shake of that. What are you going to do?
We use that to make maple bacon ice cream. It was really good.
It was. Christy's husband is our second engineer here. And he is, besides being a great engineer, he also makes the world's greatest bacon.
And
I mean,
straightest.
it's beautifully straight. And we were making pickle Italian ice, and which sounded really disgusting. And we put a big piece of Mickey's bacon into each cup. And people, you know, were handing out spoons, and people had already started using the piece of bacon as a cup, as a spoon. It was great.
He claims it was gross. It was fantastic.
All right, so we'll add some of this so we can make a
Slurry.
slurry of it.
I feel like it's going to be more of a paste.
Well, we'll see.
Well, there goes your $15 of maple syrup.
It went to a good cause.
Mine, it was yours. You paid for it.
I know. And so this weekend I'll be using Mrs. Butterworth's on my pancakes. Thanks a lot. Jeez.
All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, looking good. Looking good.
The whole.
It was.
Don't let
it wasn't
Paula
the
see you
whole
doing
thing.
that. She recycles everything.
Okay, well, you can bring it to her.
She's threatened to recycle me.
And we're just going to add a little bit of this to it so that we can get the consistency we want. And I'll show it to you once we get it. Oh, nice. Yesterday in class we made peanut butter and jelly ice cream, which is peanut butter ice cream, and then we made a jelly swirl out of this.
You can also do that as an Italian ice, peanut butter and jelly. It works out just great. And nobody's ever seen it before, so it's a lot of fun.
Okay, now we're ready. So what we'll do now is we'll fire this up, get this working. We tasted it already, and I think it's good, so we don't have to worry about that. We can put the compressor on right away. When you put the compressor on, listen, and you'll hear it go on. That it's a good habit to get into. Listen up. Okay, now we know we're cool. If you don't hear it, you'll be making ice cream for the next 2 weeks.
Because it won't freeze.
You didn't do your water stick.
Oh, and also a water a water-cooled machine. The water comes in there, it cools the motor, and then it comes out through here. And you're right. And I always check in the store the water coming out, and it is in fact coming out.
Because if it isn't, it means that somebody turned the water off somewhere down the line.
And you're
you
in
forgot
trouble.
that you had a plumber come in last week to change your hot water heater, and he shut off all sorts of valves,
Wanna
hoping
put
that
that
he'd
on the
find the
shelf?
right one for the hot water heater. Changes the hot water heater, turns on that valve, and your machine is still shut off. So when you call us, we're available 7 days a week till 9 p.m. You call us, leave a message during off hours, and one of us will call you back. Usually on a Sunday night, it's going to be me. And that's the first thing we're going to ask is the water coming out? And if you say no, it's turned off, or there are rubber hoses that we supply, and you've rolled the machine onto one of the rubber hoses, crushing the line, the solution, move it off the line. So we have simple solutions for what you feel is a pending disaster. We've heard it all, 120 years.
Okay, here's the consistency we're looking for, and you'll see why. And I know Steve mocks me for not writing all this down, but this is something that you'll have to do by feel and taste, which is good. Remember we talked about we're in this business for profit. What's the second thing? Art. We want to be able to create things, because otherwise we might as well sell shoes. Okay. This is, it's almost like oatmeal maybe. Wow. Oh, this could be good. So really, to write down a formula, you don't need to, because we used 5 quarts, 1 bottle, which is a 750 of Tyranny, French toast, and then we made this. You don't have to do this, but I thought, why not? So we'll give it a shot. And this should take about, let me see, maybe 10 minutes, that's all. And then we'll be ready to make our variegate. And before you make the variegate, what do we have? 10, so we'll get 3 maybe?
You're running on super premium?
Yes.
Are you
No,
running
homemade.
on homemade? Okay.
So we'll prepare for 3. Normally, a full batch will get you 6 or 7. So we'll prepare for 3 because we're going to eat some. Okay, any questions about this? Any questions about life in general? Yes.
Besides the speed for the ice cream, what's the difference between super premium and homemade?
Well, it is the speed. And the higher...
Is there texture difference or creaminess?
No temperature. Texture, yes. But you won't notice that. It's really density, right?
Yes.
I have to put a word on it. Take a bowl, take a pint or a quart of heavy cream, pour it in the bowl. Take your mix master, those things with the blades, and do this. You'll get whipped cream, won't you?
Right. Okay.
Now, if you had a variable speed on this thing and you went lower speed, it would take longer, but that whipped cream would be much denser and very good, wouldn't it?
So is that with the denser one is the homemade or
No,
the...
homemade is the highest one. Think gelato. You ever have gelato? It's very thick and creamy. What is gelato, 170 or something?
No, 140.
140. The speed on this is 238 revolutions a minute. 234?
Yes, 234.
234 revolutions a minute. So it's whipping that cream. Gelato is 140 revolutions a minute, perceptibly slower. So the ice cream will have less air in it, and it'll be creamier to the palate. Okay?
But keep in mind, nobody else has this control but me. This is my invention from 24.
Well, I have it.
You have, from 24 years ago. It's not just a variable speed motor, it's not even the motor. The motor's just standard. It's an application that I developed whereby we can slow down the speed of the drive without losing the horsepower. Normally, if you have a light dimmer in your dining room and you dim down the lights from 100 to 40, you've robbed the motor of all that, the lights of all that power. You dim down the speed of the drive, you've lost the power of the motor. With my system, you don't lose the power. But these numbers that Jeff was throwing out, 234, 140, Super Premium 160, they don't apply to any other machine. You can call up another company, an Italian company mostly, and say, what speed do you make gelato at? And their RPM will not correspond to ours because it's what we designed, and that's the speed that we pick. So there are not apples to apples. You can't say this one's got a 3-horse motor and this has got a 3-horsepower motor. They're the same. They're not, because they don't have this invention. It's really handy because products that we didn't even know about have come along since I invented it. The main one being dairy-free. And dairy-free, you could. I started off making it like an Italian ice at a high speed. But after 3 years of working with dairy-free, I've lowered it down to about the super premium range to get a better mouthfeel and texture. So there is nothing on the market today that you can't make on this machine. Yes, sir?
You're getting ready to pour into it, the same ones that you use for storage of the box,
The question was, are these the same containers you use for serving your ice cream from? Jeff does, It's personal preference. A lot of ice cream parlors use this. That's either a 2.5 or 3 gallon tub. They're nice. I find these to be more convenient because as they get low, you can change them out. I also,
the big thing, less air contacts the ice cream.
yeah, that's true. And the other is gelato pans. I use gelato pan inserts. I'll show you one. That's basically a gelato pan insert. Very inexpensive. I'm not using the stainless steel housing, I'm just using the plastic. And this is 6 to 7 quarts, 6 liters. What does this sell for?
On that, but, do you use that because that's gelato more dense than your regular ice cream?
No, I use these for gelato because gelato dipping cabinets don't hold round tubs. They hold these rectangular type. Thank you. Yes, sir.
That's about the, when Jeff turned on the compressor there, made me think about no need to pre-cool.
No, there is no such thing as pre-cooling.
Okay.
Because the dairy product would freeze to the walls of the machine if you tried to pre-chill it. It's going to get cold very fast, but if you're making straight vanilla, which is going to be the lowest sugar content product, this is a higher sugar content, so instead of 8 minutes, it'll be about 10. But for the first 4.5 minutes or so, give or take, it's still liquid. It's just chilling down from 34 degrees down to a sub-temperature. So you have plenty of time to add nuts, cookies, candies into the machine. We add everything into the machine. Nobody else can do that on the market. We take whole bananas and drop them in, whole Oreo cookies. Today we're going to drop your product in, the Moonshine cookies, and we'll probably put half the Moonshine cookies into the machine, let them grind it up, and now I've got the Moonshine flavor. And the second half we're going to break them into 4 pieces and shake them out as it comes out.
All right, it's ready, and we'll pull it out now.
That was fast.
Okay, now we're good.
I get this
So
out
we'll
of
put
here.
it in here. Beautiful white color.
Yes, except custard is a high fat, usually 12%. Gelato is a low fat, about 4, 6, 8%, depending on where you are in Italy.
All right, so normally I would pull it right into these and seal it up and put it in the freezer. But because we're doing a variegate, I pulled it into the big one, and what we'll do is we'll take the variegate, just like we did with the jelly one, and we'll pour it on top. And we'll give it, what I always say is 4 turns in here. And then because it's a squishy bucket, we'll squishy it and put it in here, and you'll see that we'll get a nice swirl in it.
Isn't that great?
Wow.
For 15 years, we've been asked where to get the squishy buckets. We don't know.
Well,
If you find out, let us know.
Well, now we do.
Yeah.
We do know.
Was he one of the students? One of my
No.
No.
You found one?
His name is Nathan. Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, he was so enthralled with these things that he decided to invent them. And so what he did was he invented this. This is a prototype. And if it passes muster here, they'll go on the market. Traditionally, the squishy buckets, we're all out of them, aren't we? Oh, here they are. This is what came, originally when I started, this is what ice cream came in, and squishy. And you couldn't buy them anywhere. And to make the variegate, you need a squishy bucket. So after these many years, what's his name?
Nathan.
Nathan, hi Nathan. Nathan came up with his version of a squishy bucket. And he wants us to try them here, and if they work, then he's going to go into production on them. So you'll be able to get your squishy buckets through Nathan.
Hey, just think about Nathan. Keep this in mind that the three of us want to do the late night TV commercial for them. You know, whether 3 for $9.95 or whatever the price is.
No. We have to do it where, like they pull the saran wrap and they do like all the funky. Do you do this?
No, well, we're going to have you in black and white, sweating as you're trying to do a standard bucket and pour the variegate in, and then Jeff's going to come along and he's just got a squishy bucket, easy pouring it, and I'll be the voiceover.
But wait, there's
more. Order now and you'll get a lid with your squishy bucket.
All right, we'll do another one.
Yes.
What?
So if you're doing pints, is there a way to do it for pints?
Absolutely. With this,
No.
There's two ways to do pints. With this, you would put it in the freezer and let it get a little bit thicker, so that's like cake frosting, and then you use, I don't see one, you use a spade instead of a scoop. Instead of a scoop, you use this, a spade, because the ice cream won't stick to it. And you fill the pints, now it's like cake frosting after being in the freezer, and you put the lid on, then you turn them upside down. It's an old trick, because now the ice cream is falling up. It's gravity's taking it down, but it's falling up to the lid, so that when the customer opens it, it's completely full. There is a customer up near where Jeff lives who called me, and he has been hiring elderly people who had great careers in everything on earth, and they're bored out of their mind watching The View on TV, and he hires them to come in and fill pints. And it's turned into a social club with 4 or 5 of them, to where one of them said, even if you didn't pay us, we'd come in, because we like the camaraderie. We can talk about our doctors, how they keep us waiting, and all this other stuff. And he's got pint fillers. Otherwise, we'll show you later that you can fill it right from the machine using the infinite overrun control. Christy found this out by just slowing down the drive. So instead of taking it all out in 30 seconds, you can slow down the drive to something around frozen custard speed, and now you can fill quite easily. But the spade is the key to it.
I remember you having French toast ice cream because it's the morning, it's a breakfast ice cream.
Yeah, next comes the booze.
Right.
I guess I better take a taste of this while it's still here.
One for you, one for me.
All right, I'll serve you up. Michaela, you want to try it?
Oh, she gave them.
Okay. Michaela's running our soundboard. She's behind the soundproof wall.
This is a winner.
This is really good. Wow, this is great.
It is.
The maple syrup, the Belvitas.
Tastes everything.
Oh boy,
Wow.
this is good.
Where's the other one, Jeff? You put a lid on it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
There's a big one and a small one.
Okay.
Gee, I wasn't kidding. We are doing the booze one next.
Oh, the cookies are good. The syrup too. The maple syrup.
I guarantee you by 2 o'clock this afternoon, I'll ask you, would you like to make one more flavor? And everybody's going, no, I can't take any more.
I'm already thinking of it.
Yeah.
Ice cream this early in the morning.
Hey, it's good for you.
When you make variegates, like we did with the jelly, invariably there'll be some left over. We had a half a gallon of jelly variegate left over. So just put it in a quart container, put a lid on it, label it, and throw it in your freezer or your cooler. And you'll have it for next time, because this is, I don't like to waste anything. So that's what you should do with that. Here we probably won't, because nobody's going to make this ever again. It's good, isn't it, Kathy?
Oh, yeah.
This is awesome.
Very good.
Very good.
So the tape will be up next week, and you'll be able to watch Jeff make this from start to finish. And just watch the tape carefully, stop it, and you'll figure out how much he put in of everything.
Amazing.
French toast ice cream. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, I'm done.
As soon as Christy comes back, we're going to make the Moonshine cookies.
All right.
Gonna close that down.
Now you're
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I will rinse.
What you do is you plan your ice cream production so that you don't have to rinse the machine out all the time. So the absolute worst way to make ice cream would be to make chocolate first and then vanilla, because you'd have all the chocolate flavor in there. If you go vanilla and then chocolate, you don't have to rinse out. If you go vanilla and then vanilla fudge and then vanilla swirl and then chocolate, you still don't have to rinse the machine because the swirl was done like Jeff just did outside the machine. You can also use a pastry bag for doing swirl. You fill up the pastry bag, and as the ice cream's coming out, you open the gate halfway to slow it down a bit, and you squeeze in your stream of butterscotch. That works well too. Jeff's way works the best, but the bag works great. I was showing an executive chef how to do that using the bag, and after 40 years of making ice cream, he showed me something I never saw coming. The problem with the pastry bag is it's got the metal tip down here, and then it's a canvas bag, and you're filling the butterscotch in it. And then good luck cleaning out that butterscotch. You've got it over at the sink with hot water, and you're putting your hand in, and you're washing like this, trying to get it out, and you can't get it clean. The chef looked at me like I was from Mars. He grabbed the pastry bag by the metal tip and then rolled it up his arm inside out and put his arm under the sink. And I'm going, why didn't I think of that? Just like that. There's your pastry bag, nice and clean. So I'm always learning new stuff too. We're ready.
All right,
Let's bring up Mr. and Mrs. Moonshine.
you got it. You ready?
You guys ready to come up?
I will pass out these. While these are being passed around, did you want to tell a little bit about your company and how you started and what you do?
Come right up in front of the camera. You do have real names besides
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Moonshine.
Yeah, Mike and Robin, and we've had
Robin, come on over.
Come on, Robin.
You want to do that?
She's talking about the cookies.
Okay, well, we'll let them talk, lady. Talk about the cookies. They're going to eat them before we get there.
We have a cookie company that we started in Knoxville, Tennessee about 8 years ago called Moonshine Mountain Cookie Company. We actually do infuse moonshine into some of our cookies, although some people are disappointed when I tell them that the alcohol bakes out, so they're not adulterated and they're safe for the kids and everything. But we did that really to get a lot of attention and get people to try the cookies. But we've been making the cookies now, like I said, for 8 years. We've probably got 15 or 20 different flavors. We ship all around the country, and Robin is the one here who came up with our base recipe and is the brains behind all of our new flavors that are coming out. And Steve had asked me when we come down here if we bring some of our cookies so he could try, I guess, in your vanilla ice cream maybe? Is that
Yeah.
In his famous vanilla ice cream. So today, are we going to be using the sugar, or are we going to be using
Me and Chrissy are deciding. We're either going to do the chocolate con, which is a quadruple chocolate, kind of like a brownie cookie, or we've also got a sugar shine, which is kind of, might get more like a cake batter flavor. So I don't know. We'll see. We also have some cookies for y'all to try later if you want this.
One of the things that's kind of unique about our cookie, if you taste it in the batch of ice cream, is that we blend flour and oats together. So it's not just a straight flour cookie like most cookies are. Some of the oats are whole, and some of them are ground up into a flour themselves, but it gives the cookie a lot chewier, meatier taste. So we've never made the ice cream with it, so we're excited to see what it tastes like.
Strike the part about sharing the cookies with you later. Our office manager and my wife, Paula Thompson, has already claimed them. We have a safe made in 1910, and they're already going to be locked up in there. But enjoy the ice cream.
You decide what she thinks would be better in ice cream.
This may take a while. She's going to have to try 2 or 3
Well,
cookies.
she does the strawberry, but we're going to sugar.
So if we do chocolate con, we can add chocolate powder and some chocolate chip morsels.
Okay.
If we do this, we can add white chocolate chip morsels that we have. Your choice.
I go for white chips.
So you want to do sugar?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, sugar cookie it
We'll
is.
do the sugar shine.
Great.
All right,
I'll get
take
the
it
white
away.
chips.
Oh, you're going to do
Jeff,
that?
I replaced your white chips and got
I'm
more.
going in circles over here. So first, let me get my stuff out of the way. We'll get in there. All right, so we need 3.5 quarts of mix.
Hey, Christy.
You're not going to help?
Oh, I was going to let the queen take care of it.
Okay.
No, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Christy. These are chocolate, and these are not white. These are butterscotch.
There's more over there.
Oh, good.
There's two. There's,
Thank you.
Yeah, there's
Perfect.
2 open bags. That'll do.
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
That'll be fine. All right, so like Jeff said, we're going to grab it like this. You're going to pop this off and you're going to pour. So this is your 4-quart line.
Okay.
Did Jeff, did you go over about how you keep your tub this way?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to keep it this way and you're going to pour it. It's about 3.5. Kind of eyeball it.
Which machine are we using?
CB350.
Oh, you didn't want to make a larger batch?
We can't. Well, you got to take the cap off.
Okay.
Oh. I thought you just pop it, yeah.
Yep. And then just eyeball 3.5.
Right there.
Little more. There you go. That's good.
So the CB350, you put in a minimum of 3.5 quarts of liquid. You can go up to 4 quarts.
He's going to do it this one.
No.
We switched and we're going to do that one. So you'll be all clean for your
Okay.
next batch.
So you're going to take it, and as Jeff had mentioned, I'm going to let you do it. So the easiest way I found is holding it. You want me to do it? Or you want to
You
try?
go right
it?
ahead.
You don't want to try?
I don't care, yeah.
Okay, so the easiest way is to hold it under here.
Okay.
Don't put mouth.
Go
cup.
high.
Yep, I'm going to stay high. Okay.
Am I okay going this direction?
Whichever
Yeah.
way you feel like you can pour. Look at that.
See? Easy. We found that if you rest the bucket on the machine itself, it tends to spread out, and now you get a little mess.
Very good, very good. Alrighty, so next, where's your cookies? Here we are. Let's get these out. She's got them all nice and pretty. Let me get a little... Here.
These are just the Nestle Toll House chips.
Put them in there.
Anybody know where the name Toll House came from? 1937, I think
We're
it
just gonna
was.
break
There
them a
was
little bit.
lady who
Don't have to
invented
crumble them too
somebody
much,
actually
because the
invented the
machine will
chocolate
do
chip
it.
cookie. And she did up in Massachusetts, and they owned the Toll House Inn. And that's where they first sold their cookies, and that's where the name Toll House comes from.
Okay, so she's got her cookies broke up. We don't have to... Go ahead.
That's kind of what the cookies look like. I mean, they're kind of
Big.
raised, they're not flat or
They're
anything.
beautiful.
So we don't have to break the cookies all up completely because the machine's going to do that for us. So the beauty about it is it's going to actually taste like a Moonshine cookie ice cream. So, you know, a lot of other competitors of yours, when you open your store, they're really going to be serving a vanilla ice cream with like cookies folded in it. Being able to put cookies like Oreos and Moonshine cookies right into the machine, it's going to blend in with your mix to truly make, you know, your Moonshine cookie ice cream. All right, so you're going to hit the rotating ET logo, make ice cream, homemade, and start.
How
So
much
this
is Christy? How much of Steve's vanilla do you want?
A couple ounces, just 2. Not much. Alrighty, so we've got this going. So you're gonna go ahead and turn on your freeze here. And we're just gonna start putting them in. Yep, and just kind of peek at there and make sure they're going down. Play around with the formula like Jeff did because we're not experimenting. We're just going ahead and put in the cookies. And then
The vanilla is made by Lockhead, Lochead. They're a vanilla company that only does vanilla.
see.
That's why I use them.
Ooh, we can add some more cookies.
Over the years, I've sold so much vanilla for them because we're looking out for the very best for you. That they actually they took flavor number 103A and called it Steve's Special Blend. So we have that information. It's at the website, but we can tell you who to talk to. Darren over there at Lockhead. You mention Emery Thompson or Christy Brown or Steve Thompson. They'll give you the best price right up front. But this is a special blend, and it's really the best vanilla I've ever used. It's a world of difference between using something that comes from the supermarket.
In your blue folder, there is Darren's contact name and or email in there that you can reach out to him, plus a sheet about their information about the vanilla. So Steve kind of briefly mentioned it earlier. So we're adding the cookies now, and then you can add some more a couple minutes into the batch. When you're working with the larger machine, like a 24 quart, you definitely can, add 2 more pounds of cookies halfway through the cycle because it's so large and big enough to do so. Working with the little guy, you kind of have to, because it's expanding a little bit more, so you want to go ahead and put your cookies in. Now, if it's something little like a chocolate chip, we're going to let this freeze and get just a little bit more firmer before we add in our chips, because they're so tiny. What's going to happen is you're going to have a little, probably about a handful or so that kind of sink to the bottom of the ice cream. So you want to wait it for a little bit more, a couple minutes, gets a little thick. We're still kind of in the soupy stage, and then we're going to dump this in, and that's pretty much it. And it's as simple as that. We'll wait a couple minutes. Do you want to talk anything else about your cookies?
How do we buy them?
Yeah. You can buy it, obviously, if you come through Knoxville, Tennessee, we have 2 stores there, so you can come there. And then we ship all over the country. So, this gentleman said he's from Oregon. I mean, we ship to Oregon all the time, California, we ship to Hawaii, we ship to Alaska, we ship to Maine, everywhere.
What's the website?
It's moonshinemountaincookies.com. And you can order any different flavors, different packages. Everything gets there within 2 days from the time we ship. We just, unless UPS is all messed up. But we try to make it to where we just pay the extra to get them there fresh for you, because they don't have preservatives and stuff in them, so they're a soft and chewy cookie. So yeah, like I said, we brought some sea salted caramel that we have a few we can share. We'll cut them. But we can share those with you guys.
So that's Moonshine Mountain Cookies.com. Cookies plural.
Cookies
MoonshineMountainCookies.com. Great.
Yeah.
And when we were going over which cookie would be best, so I tried the Chaka Khan, if I said it right? And I could dissecting it to see what was in that cookie. And you could do that with any of her cookies, any cookies you buy off the shelf, and even a cake, your favorite cake. When you're eating it, you can dissect it and see what's in it. Is there brown sugar? Are there almonds? Are there nuts? Is there frosting in there? So you can even disassemble the cookie or cake and go ahead and put those same ingredients into the machine and make that ice cream. So you can put chocolate powder, you can put oatmeal, you can put brown sugar, you can do all kinds of things. So finding your favorite treat or dessert. That's how I come up a lot with mine. My favorite alcoholic drinks, I turn into an Italian ice. My mom's desserts and pastries that she's made, I've made into an ice cream. I think we're pretty good. Oh yeah, so you want to go ahead and, yep, you want to go ahead and pull back.
You want some more after that?
Nah, I think it'll be all right. Look at that. Isn't it fun watching it just go down?
Now you can't do this with any other machine because even though it looks like a large opening, it narrows down to something about like that.
So you can give her a
Because
closer up and we'll
I think the reason is because their beater that's in there, we call it the old-fashioned term, dasher, that's spinning around, is so lightweight that they're afraid that nuts or cookies or candies will damage it. So they narrowed it down to where you just can't put them in. You can only put in liquids and extracts. We throw in everything into the machine, which gives you, as Christy said, a much, much better flavor because for every particle of vanilla ice cream, there's a particle of cookie next to it. I helped put Haagen-Dazs in business. My father did Ben & Jerry. My grandfather did Breyers, Bluebell, Hershey. They all started as ma and pa businesses. And when they went to large machines, what's called a continuous freezer, 1,000 gallons an hour, they had to modify their formulas to where now Haagen-Dazs strawberry ice cream is vanilla ice cream with a $40,000 machine at the end of it injecting strawberries into it. It looks like strawberry ice cream, but it's vanilla with strawberries. With our batch freezer, for every particle of vanilla ice cream, there's a particle of strawberry next to it. So the taste is going to be much more intensive. That's why we call it homemade.
You could even put like a
We used to
couple
get,
drops.
we
Or
were
a
stuck for
drop.
many, many years selling an ice cream cone for $2.25. The fear was if we went higher, people would say, oh, we're not going to go out to Jeff's Ice Cream Parlor. We're going to go buy Breyers at the supermarket. It wasn't true then, and it isn't true now. The millennial age group and below changed the industry 10 years ago dramatically to where people demanded better quality. Instead of me opening up a can this size called a number 10 tin of heavy gloppy strawberries with red dye 40 in it and tons of preservatives, I go to the supermarket now. It was Jeff's idea. Do your shopping at the supermarket and buy frozen strawberries in bags. You thaw them and just throw them right in the machine. You've got the freshest ice cream in the world. The cost is higher, but we're getting $5 average across the United States for a scoop of ice cream. And people are happy to pay it. And pint sales are through the roof. We're getting anywhere from $9, $10, $11 a pint, and the customer will always buy two. I can't come home with my mint chip and Paula says, well, where's my coconut? So I better show up at home with 2 pints. So it's just, the business is just getting bigger.
So we're going to talk about how do you know when the ice cream is done. So we do what we call a cutoff check. Right now we're at 7.5 minutes. Your very, very first batch of the day is going to take a little bit longer than the rest of your batches after that because your machine was warm, your cylinder was warm, so every batch after that will take a couple minutes less because it's nice and cold. So a cutoff check is where you open and close the gate, see how it's running and still kind of soupy. We're not done. We probably got about 2 or 3 more minutes before it'll be ready. When we get to that point and you open and close the gate, it's going to cut it off and kind of like plop into the pan. I like to pull mine a little bit more on the thinner side, not thin like that, than some other people do. And the reason is, I think Jeff kind of touched about that a little bit, is when it goes into your container, it's filling it up evenly instead of having air pockets and you're going to the table and you're kind of trying to hit it and smack it down, get those air pockets out. So it definitely fills up your container a lot better. Now, sugar content. So we added a lot of sugar. We added chocolate chips and we added cookies that have sugar sprinkles and sugar in it. So it's science. The more sugar you add, the longer it's going to take to freeze. If we were to just make plain old vanilla, that could take about 8 minutes. Once you start adding sugar, in other words, cookies, chocolate chips, vanilla extract, that's an alcohol and a sugar, you're starting to increase your batch times. So if you dump a whole mess of sugar in that machine, like I make an orange Italian ice, it's orange juice and sugar. It's diabetes in a cup, pretty much, It's straight 100% orange juice and 2 pounds of sugar. That is it, no water. That can take me about 18 minutes to freeze. But it is oh so good. Very, very good. When
Jeff made the ice cream just before this one, mathematically, I'm always working it out. I believe making ice cream is mathematical. And I'm looking at it and saying, okay, 8 minutes for what he's starting with, and now he just added a whole bottle of Tyranny syrup. First ingredient has got to be, yeah, there it is, pure cane sugar. And then he grabs my very expensive, what was it, the maple syrup instead of Mrs. Butterworth's. So I'm already up, let's see, 8 minutes, normal, 9. Oh, you didn't add the syrup to the ice cream? Okay. Okay, so he stopped at this, so we're looking at 10, 11 minutes because of the higher sugar content. What you add afterwards doesn't matter. When we do Italian ice, sorbet, sorbetto, Italian water ice, that's 2 ingredients plus flavor, sugar and water. So that high sugar content, we're up to 13 minutes on this machine, 17 minutes on this to make Italian ice. Not because there's anything wrong, but as like Christy said, you've added so much sugar to the formula. So that goes into your planning and calculations. Mm-hmm. We're still going to go probably, let's check and see if it's changed any. Definitely got a lot better in a 2 minutes, I think it took. So we're at 10.5 minutes. That's about expected for the first batch. We'll probably let it go for another minute-ish. Does anybody have any questions before we extract? No? I succumbed a few years ago to putting a timer into the machine. I was very much against it. It's there now. I still don't even use it. When I set up Universal Studios to make frozen lemonade back in the late 1990s, they had the best setup at all. They had 5 of our biggest machines, which aren't on the line here, making the product. And they had a huge klaxon tied to each machine. You know, like an old World War II submarine movie. You know, when the klaxon goes off and everybody goes, dive, dive. You know, that's what it sounds like. What it did was it allowed the ice cream operator, instead of standing here going, isn't this nice, they're over here washing out their tubs, they're getting their flavors ready. The klaxon is set for 2 minutes before they think the product will be ready. It goes off and they go, hey, I got to get back to the machine. And it worked very well. I still personally use a $9 kitchen timer. And if it's going to take 8 minutes, I set it for 7, and I can be doing other things. The bell goes off, and I go, oh, let's go back and check the machine. Just like when my wife Paula bakes, and it's going to take 24 minutes to bake a pie, it doesn't mean it's ready in 24 minutes. 24 minutes means she goes back and checks it and says, okay, that's done, or the ingredients were different, I'm not happy with it, I'll let it go a little bit. You can't successfully totally make it, you know, AI and computer generated making ice cream. There's still art to it, whereby you're deciding when it's ready. And if you're a minute this way or a minute that way, it's not going to have anything to do with the texture. The texture is in the process of the machine, not in how long you run it. So it is a simple process, but and you get going on it, you're not going to believe how much fun it is. Yes.
The question I have, if I do a cheesecake, the cheesecake has a cheesecake and a pie crust, do I add in this phase, or do I add after, or do I add half?
Cheesecake, ice cream.
What about cheesecake?
Where do you put it in?
She said, do you add it in this phase,
Oh.
or do you add it in that phase, like a swirl or half and half?
Jeff actually had a brilliant idea. Jell-O makes a no-bake cheesecake. It comes in a box, and it has a powder packet and a graham cracker crust packet. Use that packet straight into the machine with your ice cream mix. It makes the most fantastic cheesecake. If you want to use real cheesecake, you obviously can do that too. You just cut it up and shove it in the machine. You want to put it in there with the mix first. You don't really want to add that after, because it's, once again, just going to be vanilla ice cream with cheesecake folded in it. We want to have true cheesecake ice cream. All right, so I think we're ready. You want to do a cutoff check real quick? Open, close.
Not enough.
That's good enough. So what we're going to do now, all right, so you're going to turn off your refrigeration. Okay, we wait for that to kick off, but you don't have to. You're going to lift this up, and you're going to take your pan, and you're just going to do that. You can leave that open.
See how fast that comes out?
do what?
We want to get the
Oh,
product out fast so it's consistent. If it takes you 3 minutes to get it out, it's like broiling a steak. If it takes you 3 minutes to get that steak out, the last part of the steak is going to be burned. So it's critical to our machines. We want it out of there quickly.
And then open it back up, and you can get the rest of it. Yeah. You want to help her with the rest of that while I do this?
Yes, she's doing great. If you can just turn to the side a little bit so the camera can see you.
Oh, I'm sorry, where's the camera?
There's the center one. And that's pretty much going to be about it. Now, any flavor that you make, if this was the last batch of the day, we would stay here for a little bit and get every last drop out. But the odds are, in running an ice cream parlor, you're probably going to do 2, 3, 4 batches of this. I've put tens of thousands of people into business with this model machine because it's affordable and it fits into the new genre of an ice cream parlor of about 900 square feet instead of 1,700 square feet. I used to do stores that cost $175,000 or more. Now we're doing stores for $40,000 to $50,000. Yes, sir.
What's the number on that?
That's a CB for counter batch 350, CB 350. And all our prices are at our website, and they're current, and you'll see exactly what you're going to pay for it. We have one very unique feature. All our competition, because they don't run the business the way I do, they are anywhere from 9 months to 18 months to get you a machine. This one is a week and a half. The bigger ones are approximately 3 to 4 weeks. So, and we will work with you. We give a lifetime free technical support. We're going to help you every step of the way. Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you get that model in a three-phase?
He wants to know, can you get it in a three-phase? Absolutely not. Three-phase is European voltage for the most part. Without getting too technical, this building is three-phase because I use a lot of electricity.
He has a three-phase building.
You have a three-phase building, you just cut one wire, and now it's single-phase. That's all there is to it. You can't get single-phase put into a building nowadays, three-phase, for less than $110,000. So you're never going to get the payback. But if you're in an old building and you own the building and it's three-phase is three leads, three wires that'll electrocute you, and one ground. Single-phase is two wires that'll electrocute you and a ground. So if you've got a three-phase connection in your store, you just cut that wire and now it's a single-phase connection. Real simple. But by building it in USA voltage, single-phase, you can sell this machine to anyone in North America at any time. There are some used machines up at eBay. There's one there for $10,000. Our price is not that much higher than that. I sold it to him in 2006 for $4,950. Now he's selling it for $10,000. Emery Thompsons are like Rolex watches. They're extremely valuable. They only go up in value. So we're going to try this. I think it's going to be amazing. All right, we better get back to work. Hey, everybody want to sit down? We're going to get back to work.
Okay.
Jeff is making, what are you making, Jeff?
Mango ice cream.
All right. Now, I've had mango Italian ice lots of times, and it's actually the #2 selling flavor in Italian ice after lemon, which is amazing. But I've never had mango ice cream. So I'm looking forward to this. You've never had either?
No.
Okay.
Everybody's not here, right? Or is...
They'll be coming in. We lost a couple.
Okay. What I've done is I bought 3 nice sized ripe mangoes yesterday at the supermarket, and I cut 2 of them up and saved one for you to cut up. No, I'll cut it up. And here's how I cut up a mango. All I do is score it all the way around. And then I score it again this way, all the way around. And by the way, we're going to have a little contest here, and whoever wins gets the pit to, you think I'm kidding. You put the pit in water for a couple of days, and then put it in the ground, and you'll have a mango tree. And if we all live long enough, you'll have beautiful mangoes from it. It's the simplest thing to grow in this part of the country. I'd say up to, well, maybe up to Georgia, probably not Tennessee. And then where it meets here, you take one of them and you have, a mess is what you have. It should peel a little easier than this, but not bad. There we go. And then take another one. Oh, I know, it's because the top was here. It was on the side. There it is. You get rid of that, we should be okay.
Maybe.
Mangoes are they're pretty good. Has anybody not had mango here? Oh, come on, tell the truth.
Jeff, how do you know when a mango's fresh? Or ripe, rather?
I don't know. I squeeze them. When they're real soft, they're ready.
Okay.
And every one that I found, mangoes taste different. I guess depending on what tree they came from. Has anyone had mango ice cream?
Not ice cream, just
Italian ice, so mango Italian ice.
Right, but I haven't had mango ice cream ever, so we'll give it a shot. Okay, there we go. Now we'll simply slice it in with the rest of it. And as Steve alluded to before, because of the machine with the opening, this will go right in there. Has anybody peeled a mango at home? The best part is right here. After you're done slicing it, just... I won't do that, of course. The pit is very large, in case you don't know what a mango pit looks like. And to expedite things, I also went to the store and bought fresh mango chunks. And if this were to be a flavor that I would make in the store, I wouldn't use this. Why not? I would use only that. How come?
You want consistency.
Consistency, that's the word right there. Thanks, Willie. The consistency. I want to know, just as Steve has always said, that my mango ice cream tastes the same in July as it does in November. Or same this July as it did last July. But you never know. Okay, there we go. That's about the size of the pit. And really, you stick it in water a couple of days, and then put it in the ground, and inside of a week, you'll see it starting to come up. And then in 6 months, you'll have a mango tree.
Wow.
And next year, you'll have mangoes.
How do you know which side of the pit is up and
Down so you don't have it growing the other way.
I put it this way.
Okay.
Just, it doesn't matter. If this is the part, it'll do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Before you put it in the ground.
Who said that? It doesn't matter. Actually, if you're smarter than me, you'd put it in sideways, horizontal, because the tree is going to come from the ends. I think. I'm not in there to see it. So anyway, if somebody wants to do this, I'm going to leave this here. If nobody does, then I'm taking it home. But I have the 2 other pits also. So if you want to do it, you should do this. Just plant the pit, and next year you'll have mangoes.
How many mangoes?
More than you can use.
Okay, I want the pit, man. You know, nobody else wants that.
Okay, you got it. As a matter of fact, Willie,
I'm gonna try it. Yeah.
there you go.
Okay.
It'll be here, don't worry.
I'll come get it later. Thank you.
All right, so I took a poll before. I asked people, we're making mango ice cream. Should we put anything in it? Chocolate chips, nuts, berries, And the overall consensus was no. Let's go for real good mango ice cream and let it stand on its own. I'm a big fan of inclusions, but mango ice cream, let's give it a shot. Now what we will do is we're going to grind these up so that we can put them in, and they'll be, this we're going to add like this. But these we're going to grind up so that we're sure that the flavor's going all around. So the first thing we'll do, I've measured out 5 quarts of mix, which is a half batch. Okay? And we'll pour it in. Just as you all know how to do now.
Oh, yes.
There have been a lot of questions during the break about the mix. And will it be the same in Des Moines as it is here in Florida? And the answer is yes and no. Obviously it won't be the same because different companies will make it. However, the consistency is pretty good. Wouldn't you say, Steve?
Excellent.
Yeah, the consistency throughout the country is pretty good with the mix. And it's evidenced by the fact that if you search the Des Moines area or the Salt Lake City area, you'll find a great ice cream store. You'll definitely find the. So they had to find the mix somewhere, so it's there. Just keep doing your homework, and nothing says you can't try the mix from one place and then compare it to the mix from another place. I did that in Florida. There's 2 companies in Florida that make the mix, and I switched from one to the other after tasting both of them. I used one for 2 years or so, and then I switched to the other one. So feel free. Okay, the mix is in there. As I said, I went shopping and I came across mango. So we'll give it a shot, right?
Sure.
Sure, why not? We'll get our spoons ready because we know we're going to be tasting. We have the mix in there, and what we'll do is we'll make a little of this in the Ninja so that they're nice and and that's 2 packages. Now, you know, I haven't made this before. They're each 1 pound, so I guess you could say 2 pounds of frozen mango. We'll add a little of this so that we can get a slurry going, and then we'll fire it up. I guess we're done. I guess we're done.
You turned it off.
Oh, I see. I didn't. Oh, so now you got it perfect.
Oh.
Oh, so that's what I was doing wrong.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, now it works great.
Well, it's blinking. What'd you do to it? Oh.
All I did was turn it on. All right. That'll do.
Yep.
So we'll turn the machine on so that we get great mixing done. We'll have to have Mike fix that before my next flavor.
You want me to go take it to Mickey?
What, the blender? Well, something's wrong somewhere. But Steve, I'm sure, has a brand new one packed up somewhere.
I paid $99 for that now 6 years ago, and now you can buy them for what, $79?
$79.
Yeah.
You don't have another one, though?
No.
Okay,
Most stores have 2 or 3, don't they?
What's that?
Most stores have 2 or 3 Ninja blenders.
Or 5.
Like you.
Yeah. Because once they go out of business or stop or whatever, I want to know I've got them for life.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
It's your retirement money.
Yeah. All right, so we'll add some of this. We'll swirl this around to get it all out. And then we'll add a little of this. Say when. I didn't hear you. When? Okay, when it is. Okay.
I'll let you guys pass this around so you can smell it and look at the brand.
All right, now we have this. And these are the pieces from 3 live mangoes, as opposed to dead mangoes.
They're dead now.
They're dead now.
They just stabbed them.
All right, we'll add this in there. And does it work?
Oh, does it?
It's all good, right? What was wrong?
You?
Me, of course. I hear it working fine now.
It's you. It doesn't like you. Quit looking at it.
Okay, we'll taste it. Make sure we're on the right track. Oh, man, that's perfect. And we'll fire it up. And this will be mango ice cream. And it actually tastes real good. Any questions about it?
Christy.
Now, technically, how many ingredients? 3. We have the ice cream mix, which is consistent throughout all our making. We have a little Tyranny, 1 bottle, and then we have mangoes. Truth be told, you don't need the mangoes, but we're making the best ice cream in the world, so let's put mangoes in. Let's have the little pieces in there, and it'll look good. When I was doing some research on making mango ice cream, You know what they added? Something called Tutti Frutti. And Tutti Frutti, after I investigated that, are little candies like not jelly beans, but what are those chewy things?
Gummies.
What?
Gummies.
Yeah, like gummies. And they're Tutti Frutti. They're all different flavors of fruit, little things, and that's what they added. I thought about it, and I don't want to interrupt my flavor experience of mango with crunchy things or hard things, so I didn't do it. So we'll just go natural here. Yes, sir. Bubblegum Tutti Frutti? In your store, not mine. Two flavors I've avoided, although they're on the menu in the store, bubblegum and cotton candy. Simply because those two flavors are made from 100% chemicals. There's no bubblegum ice cream in the world that's real. You don't use bubblegum to make it. And same thing with cotton candy. They're simply chemicals, and I don't want to do it. All right. Okay. Any other questions about this ice cream? It should be pretty good.
Were those bags of mangoes, were they sweetened or unsweetened?
Unsweetened. They're just
regular
the
mangoes.
one ingredient,
Okay.
mango,
Okay.
which is good.
Yeah.
You don't really need anything sweet. We didn't add any sugar or anything, and I don't think we have to. Let's see. Yeah. I don't think we have to sweeten it with anything. No, right?
No, that's very good.
You're going to like it. It's good. It's good. So far, we had a good French toast. We had a great cookie ice cream. And now we'll have a mango. And then the day isn't even over yet. We got miles to go before we sleep. Who wrote those lines? Who wrote those lines? Miles to go before I sleep. Huh? Come on.
Emerson.
Robert.
Who? Wasn't it Robert Frost?
Yes.
Robert Frost.
Yes.
Right. And miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. Okay, enough waxing philosophical. Come on, let's have some questions. Anything about ice cream? Ty?
Weren't you a professor?
What?
Weren't you a professor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir. It doesn't pertain to bubblegum, does it? Okay. Good question. What is the yield on one batch of ice cream? And I'll have to tell you that it depends. It depends what the ice cream is, because there'll be a different amount of inclusions in each batch. In this one, we had very few inclusions, just some mango, so we'll get probably half a batch. We'll probably get 2.5 gallons. When you do something like, say, rum raisin ice cream, where you're adding, well, in my world, I add a 175 of rum plus a few pounds of raisins. So just think about it. Here's your ice cream mix, then you're adding raisins, then you're adding a half gallon of rum. So what I get is I get over 7 gallons out of that, about 7.5. Plain vanilla ice cream, plain vanilla. In other words, take the mix, pour it in the machine, turn it on. What would you get? You would probably get, in a 24, you would probably get 5, or 4 actually, 4. And in a CB, you would get 2.
On the 24 quart, you'll get 5 to 6 gallons at 100% overrun. On the CB 350, you'll get 6 to 7 quarts.
There you go. But it depends on what's in the ice cream. The more stuff you put in, obviously, the more space it takes up, the more you'll get out.
Does that already have sugar in it?
Good question. Does the mix have sugar in it? Yes. The mix has an amount of sugar in it. Not a heavy amount, but they do put if you're a coffee drinker, in the morning, pour your coffee and put this in. instead of half and half or milk or cream or sugar or sweetener, just put this in and it's heavenly. But it does have a little sugar in it. It also, some makers of the mix add vanilla. The one we're using today, they put a little vanilla in their mix. The other company that I use didn't put vanilla in. So these little things, it'll depend. And you'll just get used to working with them. Willie?
What's the difference between custard and ice cream?
The difference between custard and ice cream is one ingredient. Steve?
Air.
Egg yolks.
Egg yolks.
And egg yolks.
Egg yolks.
Steve.
If you take this ice cream,
I got stomach cramp when I did the custard.
let's not get into that. If you take this ice cream, this mango ice cream, and you want to make custard, rather than starting to pasteurize your egg yolks, there's a company called iRice, and they make a product, we talked about it in class, called Bavarian Mix. You see it on the top shelf there? And Bavarian Mix, the first ingredient on the label is egg yolks.
Bavarian base, it's considered an ingredient, so you're not repasteurizing, no need to. And on the CB350, you put about 1 quart of this in, and the 24 quart, maybe the whole can. This will give you a fantastic custard base. Very, very simple, very easy. iRice Company, that's I as an iPhone, and then rice like the food, out of Philadelphia. Great product. They have great ice cream flavors for something that you're not doing from the supermarket. Yes?
In my area, Tillamook is a well-known brand.
Who is?
Tillamook?
Yes, Tillamook. They have our machines.
Yeah. I know that they list eggs as ingredients, but they don't classify it as custard.
They don't have to. They're just adding eggs to it. Eggs used to be in all mixes. Now people shun it. The dairies shun it because you got too much problem with bird flu. You get bird flu coming into a building, and you spend a lot of money to get rid of it, and the birds fly south, and then when they come back, they bring it back with them. Every year it recycles, and it's just gotten cost prohibitive. That's one of the reasons eggs are $7 a dozen, besides the inflation, is they're hard to work with. So something like the Bavarian base, all the risk, all the problem has been taken out of it for you. So I think it's a great way to do it. There are very few dairies who are doing a quote-unquote egg yolk or custard mix around the country. Very few.
It's right there if you wanted to look at it. I'll take it down there for you.
What is? Every state has dairies, and most dairies produce an ice cream mix because it's very profitable for them.
Okay, one more question.
Only one? Promise? Sign here.
People couldn't hear it.
No, he asked if I've ever gotten ice cream mix that was bad. No. And I've frozen it 6 months, and it's fine.
The dairy industry is one of the most heavily regulated industries in the world. And
Okay, ready?
I've never run into a bad mix either. I mean, I've run into a faulty mix where maybe they added too much sugar, but I've never run into a bad mix.
Okay, here we go.
Added cream cheese, Christy, have you?
Yes.
I thought so.
Softened, not warm. It mixes pretty good. That I would actually turn on your dasher, and the dasher is what spins inside the machine, and let that run for a good couple of minutes before you put on your refrigeration to help mix that cream cheese really well.
What's it do to the flavor?
It makes it taste like a cream cheese. Like it enhances, like if you're making a cheesecake or if you want to do a blueberry cheesecake.
You mean like your ranch dressing ice cream?
Oh, that was so good.
You think my Sharknado was a problem? The ranch dressing
Whoa,
is
whoa, whoa.
horrible.
Time out. So you guys all heard about the trend going around. Van Leeuwen, I think, company made ranch ice cream.
One of ours.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was like, all right, good social media content. I already knew this was going to be horrid. And I
Nice
was like,
deal.
well, you got to make something for a video,
Yeah,
right? So
that's
I made
very
ranch
nice.
ice cream. But you know what? Everybody talks about it. I actually have it in that freezer if you're curious to even just
Beautiful.
have a little scrape of a taste. I 0 out of 10 recommend it, but you can say you tried it.
We keep a container of it around here if anyone wants to try it.
Yeah.
Don't waste your taste buds.
Yeah. Like, notice I didn't say eat it. I said, lick it, like,
Yeah, one lick and this is not for any human consumption.
It is on Facebook. If you're curious, you see me with my machine in my kitchen actually making it, which I have a CB200, which is actually back there.
I own the company. I don't have a machine in my kitchen.
I do a lot of R&D, a lot of flavors. Customers will ask, have you tried making something with this? Like an example, the cream cheese. And I'll say, you know what? No, I haven't, but I'll find out. So that's what I do. And I come up with flavors for the seminar, my own personal use sometimes.
Have you used puddings or Jell-O?
I have. So I like to use the Jell-O instant pudding mix boxes.
It's great,
and so it makes a beautiful pistachio ice cream. I have that in my book here. And with the CB350, you use a box of the Jell-O pistachio pudding mix, some real pistachios. Makes the prettiest green ice cream you've ever seen. I don't have to add any dyes, anything like that. Those pudding mixes actually work very well when you make dairy-free ice creams because there is no dairy in the pudding powder mix itself. So believe it or not, you want to make a dairy-free cheesecake? Go for it. Buy the pudding mix cheesecake flavor. They have that too, and I've used that as well.
You make that for St. Patrick's Day?
No, we're too busy drinking.
Yeah.
What about zest, like fruit zest, lemon or lime zest?
That's a Steve. Steve does the lemon zest.
It holds up good, tastes good.
The lemon ice?
The zest.
Zest.
Oh,
the
yes.
zest.
In fact, you can buy zest. Mr. Cannoli, a friend of ours who has just moved down here and makes Italian ices. He's in the Guinness Book of Records as the world's largest cannoli. It was over 7 feet. So look it up someday. But yeah, he buys zest so that he doesn't have to zest it and you lose your knuckles, doing it. And he just throws it in. Every chef, a lot of chefs will tell you, oh, it adds so much to the flavor. I don't buy it. I've never noticed any flavor difference. But your lemon ice, sugar, water, and fresh squeezed lemon juice comes out pure white. And then when you have these little specks of zest in it, it just adds to the looks of it. I have a customer, I won't name his name, up in the Boston, Rhode Island area. And he makes a product called frozen lemonade. And if there was such a thing as artificial water, I think he would use it. Because he uses corn sugar instead of cane. He uses tap water, I'll give him that, and artificial lemon extract. And then he takes lemons and cuts them into big pieces and throws it into the machine. It's doing nothing for the flavor. But when you go to scoop it and he hands it to you, you get a big piece of inedible lemon in your cup and you go, oh, look at how fresh that is. It's about as fresh as if Dow Chemical made it. But it sells. I'll give it to him, it sells. But certainly the zest looks very nice. But I don't think it adds to the flavor. My secret lemon ice formula that I couldn't give out until I left the Bronx, Brooklyn area because it wouldn't have been good for my health, is up on our website. 7 pounds of sugar, 14 quarts of water, 2 quarts of fresh squeezed lemon juice, and the zest. And it's the best lemon ice you'll ever eat. Yes, a question back there? Oh, you're just stretching? Yoga?
I'm not scratching.
Yeah, sir.
That bladder is good for how long?
I think about 10 days, Jeff.
I can't hold it that
I
long.
wouldn't last it that long.
No.
If you freeze it, it's good forever.
Yeah, I
that it?
get mix delivered about every 4 months, and we freeze it, and then we thaw it in the refrigerator. So it's good for a long time. Anybody else right now? We're going to do something after Christy and I are going to make a flavor, and then we're going to do questions answered. So I hope you come up with some questions between now and then. This is your great opportunity to ask us anything about any aspect of the business. Since COVID, we've been really big in pint sales because I wrote some articles in February of 2020 when COVID came out. And everybody was shutting down everywhere except my stores, my customers. They kept open, and they were running prepackaged pints out to people's cars. You couldn't legally bring them an ice cream cone because you were touching the product, but you could bring them prepackaged pints. And now that's become a monster business. People will buy 2 pints instead of 1. We're getting $8, $9, $10 a pint, which is huge profit margins, and everybody's happy. Yes?
Yeah, what are the, if you're just making pints from the ice cream that you make in your store for your customers to carry out, are there
No.
labeling requirements?
No, because it's retail.
Okay.
The second you deliver your pints to somebody's convenience store,
Yes.
now you're wholesaling.
Okay. So wholesaling would require it to be labeled, but if we're just selling it directly out of our store, it wouldn't have to have all the ingredient labels on it. then?
Right.
Okay.
And you don't have to put nutrition labels,
Okay.
though most everybody does. I mean, it's human nature. We pick up a pint of Van Leeuwen's or Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry, and we read the calorie content of it. And then we say, oh, hell, and then and bring it home with us anyway. I don't know why we bother. I'm a diabetic. I got a pump on. I read carb counts. And then I say, okay, well, now I know how many extra units of insulin to give myself so I can eat this whole, pint of Talenti ice cream. But we cheat. We all cheat on diets.
Well, it's like those that order, or they ask for sugar-free ice cream, which really is no such thing because actual milk from the cow contains sugar naturally. So
Yeah.
you can't get rid
Lactic
of that.
sugar.
Yeah. Anyway, and then they'll ask for a sugar-free ice cream and then put M&Ms and syrup and all that on top of it. So you just defeated the purpose.
My father-in-law was NYPD, and he used to do that. He wouldn't eat my ice cream. I'm courting his daughter 20 years ago and, trying to impress the old boy. And so I was bringing over all these ice creams, and the only thing he would eat was Breyer's no sugar added because he thought it was healthier. And then he would take a whole jar of Smucker's chocolate syrup and pour it over the top. And I'm going, do you know how many sugar calories are in there? Didn't matter.
Run the tape.
I know. Let me put this up here.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Comparing ice cream to water ice, Italian ice, which is easier to work with if you're doing events outside?
The question is, if our mics didn't pick it up, is which is easier to work with at events, ice cream or Italian ice? Far and away Italian ice.
Okay.
Because you're not worrying about dairy. Dairy is like going to a picnic and putting out a spread of food and mayonnaise and worrying about are people going to eat it fast enough before the mayonnaise goes bad in the heat. You don't have those problems with sugar and water. So, I mean, the greatest way to make a lot of money very quickly is to sell sugar and water and flavor, Italian ice. And you don't need anything. You don't need a nice backdrop with signs and pictures of people eating anything. You have a cart or just a chest freezer, and you're scooping the ices and serving it out, and you'll make a fortune. Ice cream, I think at a festival, you select to go eat ice cream. You say to yourself, I'm going to go eat some ice cream today. Or like, I can't wait to get a Nathan's hot dog. I'm going to go find Nathan's and have a hot dog. You're walking around in that heat, and you're thirsty, and you just say, I want something cool and refreshing. I know Italian ice is going to do it. And it's going to do it better than a Coke or a Pepsi. I mean, I can have a Coke and a Pepsi anytime, but, how often can I have a mango Italian ice? So, I mean, I would, if I wanted to make a lot of money tomorrow, I would definitely go into the Italian ice business at fairs and festivals. And you can spend all winter tracking where you're going to be. You buy a machine, you make your own ice, and you say, okay, the season starts April 1st. So on April 1st, I know I want to be in Ocala, Florida. On April 8th, I want to be in Savannah, Georgia. And you map out where you're going to be so that you know in December where you'll be all spring and all summer. And you pay the fees to get in. I'll get to you. You pay the fees to get in. One quick little tip. If someone says, we'd like you to bring your Italian ice car to our model airplane convention, and there's going to be 200 people there, you're not going to make thousands of dollars. There's only 200 people. But if you do we have down here the Strawberry Festival. You do the Strawberry Festival that's attracting 8,000 people a day, and you're there for 5 days. You're going to walk away with a fortune just by sheer numbers. Just the numbers are so much larger than ice cream of people walking by who are going to say, "Oh, I'll take that." So just
that's me.
Great business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was at a festival and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I'll switch. You teach. You've done it for real. I just hypothetical it.
Wow.
Who else?
Well, we do Q&A right after this.
So let's make something.
Okay. We are going to make butterscotch. Everybody's got the formula, right?
Yes.
Does anybody know the difference between butterscotch and caramel?
I do.
Oh, okay. Steve, go ahead.
Okay. The difference is the sugar. Caramel is brown sugar to make caramel, and butterscotch is just plain white cane sugar. That's the only difference.
That's the difference. So we are going to use caramel topping, which you can use 2 jars of these if you wish. We're going to keep the sugar cut down a little bit, and we're going to use an extract. Having an extract with your natural stuff sometimes is a good thing. It helps boost the flavor. Like Jeff was talking about bubblegum, and Steve always says there's no such thing as a bubblegum tree, so you kind of need help. There are a lot of other flavors that are very bland on their own. Blueberries, they're kind of blah.
Strawberries.
Strawberries are very sweet. To me personally, I don't need any extract. But blueberries, an example. They're very, they're plain, they're blah, they're boring, they're pretty, and they make kind of a purplish ice cream. But going with the blueberry base to help with it, or a blueberry extract, definitely does a good thing. An example, another flavor is a cream soda. So we are going to make a butterscotch ice cream with caramel topping, butterscotch chocolate morsels, or just morsels, and then the extract. So we've got our 3.5 quarts of mix.
Hold on. The last thing we did was pull ice cream out of this machine. And we had the gate open. Now, because we forgot it, the gate's open, and that's about to go all over the floor. So anytime you walk past one of your machines, just tap on it. Make sure the gate is closed. Otherwise, we're going to have a big mistake. No, we did that yesterday. We did that yesterday in practice.
Yeah, well, I said a few curse words.
Nothing new.
Before I actually do this, I want to make a good point. We made cookie ice cream in this before, and I didn't rinse it. You don't have to. So if you're making something in a lighter color flavor, going to another lighter color flavor, you don't have to rinse in between. If we would have done like the Choco-Con cookies and added chocolate powder, then we would have had to have rinsed it a few times, get that chocolate out before we went to this light color. So as long as you start with your lightest colors first and then work your way down to the darkest, you don't have to rinse in between batches.
Unless you're from New York. Because if
What
you're
does that
from
have to do with it?
Because if you're from New York, you know that anything goes crunch in an ice cream that shouldn't go crunch is a cockroach. So rinse it out. If you're selling to the New York market, rinse it out. It's true.
All right. So we're actually going to, what I like to say, pull a Jeff. So we're going to get that going. We're not going to turn on anything. We're going to pour in our caramel topping. And we're just going to
Watch it slowly drip.
slowly go in.
You could heat it up in a double boiler if you're in a hurry, but this works as well. And I think the Smucker's is the best brand out there. And it's, you pick it right up at the supermarket. Yes?
Why wouldn't you start pulling it right away now?
Because
Go.
well, my reason is I'm going to be using an extract. I haven't made this formula yet with an extract, so I'm going to start with actually a 1/2 ounce. I think I'm going to end with 1 ounce, but I'm going to put a 1/2 ounce in, give it a taste, and then put that other 1/2 ounce in if I need to or not. So you might have to scratch out that ounce and put down the right one. The thing with working with extracts and things like that, you're always going to have to experiment. And always remember, just like cooking and baking, you can add more, but you can never take it out. I think
I do the opposite.
Yeah, and then you wind up with mint chip.
As soon as I put, that was a mistake. I made mint chip. I was a little heavy on the extract. I gave Chrissy the first taste, and she goes, "Well, I won't need mouthwash for the next 6 months." At least I talk about my mistakes. I start freezing right away because I know it's an 8-minute batch, and this one a little longer because of the sugar content. But basically, 8-minute batch. nothing's going to happen for the first 4 minutes. So I can do all the playing around I want while I'm also freezing, because time is money. I want to get this job done so I can go back to my Barca lounger and watch the view.
The view?
Well, you know me.
I definitely think we're going to wind up with an ounce, but we will see. We will see, we will see. What do you think?
I think more.
You think so?
Yeah. And of course, use great extracts. This is Weber Flavors. They're at our website. They're terrific.
I do too.
I told you so.
I do, but we can add more. We can't take out.
Oh, I'm the Jeff school of too much is never enough.
Steve, I noticed that you keep choosing the homemade option, but there's other options besides homemade.
Yes, the question was, we're always using the homemade because we want the maximum yield. I also know that my employees, if I had a store, you're supposed to scoop ice cream out of the tub in a semicircular motion like this. So the ice cream scoops, it rolls onto the scoop. You're preserving the air content. You go home tonight after you watch this, pick up a scoop, I don't care, pick up a fork, and go like this for 5 minutes. You'll curse the day you heard my name. You'll have such bad pain in your shoulder from going like that. People scoop where the strength is. Don't get in a fight with an ice cream scooper. They have great biceps. Because what they're going to do is when you leave, you tell them, oh, we're going to go like this. Yeah, right, boss. You're going to scoop from north to south. You're going to like that, because that's where your strength is. By doing that, you're compressing the ice cream. That 100% overrun, or 1 gallon in, 2 gallons out, is now compressing down to about 80%. So you've done your calculations on the cost of a scoop at 100% overrun. You're not serving 100. Your employees are serving 80%. So that's why I do it. If you want to...
It's softer?
Excuse me?
It's softer then?
It's not softer. I'm making it, by compressing it, I'm making it more dense. Example, Breyer's terrible ice cream would be 100% overrun. Haagen-Dazs would be about 50% overrun. It's more dense. You can tell the difference. Dense ice cream works great in a pint because you take a taste now and put it in the freezer. You have a little bit at dinner. You take another little taste at 10 o'clock at night before you go to bed. You pick at a heavy pint of Haagen-Dazs. Most people don't sit down and say, I'm going to have some ice cream, and then consume an entire pint of ice cream. It's too heavy, it's too dense, it lays heavy on your stomach, it doesn't sell well. They had to close all the Haagen-Dazs stores and most of the Ben & Jerry's because people didn't like the ice cream. They love Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry, but when it sits like lead in your stomach, it's not a good sales thing. It's the difference between a birthday cake and a pound cake. They're both cakes, they're both great, but which one would the average person rather have a second piece of? Birthday cake or pound cake? And I think the answer is birthday cake. You eat it, you feel refreshed. Hey, that was great, I'm going to have some more. Your wife says, no, you're not. Too many calories. I'm doing homemade most of the time. But super premium is going to bring it down. Gelato is going to bring it lower. Frozen custard is going to bring it even lower. So you decide. Just remember, you're costing it out. And like Jeff, I don't care about the cost. I'm going to make it up in the price and lines out the door. But what I do care about is how does it leave the customer feeling? Who hasn't gone to an Italian restaurant? Luigi's Italian restaurant. There's a Luigi's in every town in America. And we eat the antipasto, and we eat the whole loaf of garlic bread, or at least I do. And then we eat the main course, and then we have a cannoli for dessert. And we walk out of there going, oh, we don't say, oh, gee, I'm a pig, I ate too much. We say, oh, Luigi's makes me so full, I'm not going back for a month. Well, if they don't come back to your ice cream parlor for a month, you're in big trouble. So we want to leave them feeling refreshed and full. So even though we're the only machine in the world that you can vary the speed down to whatever you want, I personally run either homemade for serving in a store, or I like to run gelato for doing pints. Silence. Are you freezing or is it at the ice cream? You okay? I can get you a golden retriever.
You know, and even making this flavor would be really great to make a variegate, like Jeff said. You can make a butterscotch or a caramel, take that even topping, and as it's coming out of the machine, you can put it into like a squeeze bottle and squeeze it into your tub as it's coming out and folding into there. You can do a variegate just like Jeff did. I'm actually a big fan of Jeff's method. It works really well, and it's so beautiful once it's frozen, and it looks amazing in a little cup. When Steve was talking about that birthday cake, I've actually made a birthday cake ice cream. You bake your cake with the confetti cake. You make it all nice and pretty, and then I took a jar of frosting and I literally scooped that jar of frosting and stuck it in the machine, you know, and scraped with it not running, the dasher not running, and scraped it off and got that frosting in there, and it made it really, really, really good. And you can actually taste the birthday cake and the frosting like you're actually eating a cake. It was very good.
One variation of what Jeff does, before Jeff invented the idea of the squishy bucket, which is really great. So I hope that man brings out squishy buckets. It's the best method going. But the old method would be, here's your butterscotch, and here's your ice cream, your tub of ice cream. And you take a third of it out of the tub, you know, you take some out, and then you dip into your butterscotch, and you go once, twice through it, take some more ice cream out of the machine, once, twice, same as Jeff was doing with the squishy before the squishy bucket, or after you use the squishy bucket, but it's the same idea but a little slower. However, you don't take it out of the container of butterscotch, because now you're not going to use it all, and now you've just contaminated it with dairy. So what you do is you take your butterscotch and pour it into another container so that this is left uncontaminated, and now you dip your spatula into it and go once, twice, and you can do it that way. But hopefully soon these will be on the market, and we'll be selling trillions of dollars of squishy buckets. So we'll see. Any flavor anybody wants to know about? Where to get dipping cabinets? Anything like that? Yes, sir. This man's really into the artificial stuff.
I did that, remember?
Root beer. Root beer.
Well, remember I did that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't tell you. Hold on. Hold that thought, guys. So I was actually asked to make, there's root beer ice cream, which I'm sure is what you're inquiring about. One of the things that I experimented at home with was somebody asked, have you ever made root beer Italian ice? Once again, Weber flavor, that little bottle that you passed around, they have root beer flavoring, so does Green Mountain flavors, and then to pour into your ice cream. But to make an Italian ice, I did it 3 ways. Everybody's heard of the soda stream, you make your own soda, comes with concentrate, that's what this is. And then regular soda that you buy, like the big bottle 2 liter. So I did it 3 ways. I used this. I flattened a bottle of root beer soda for 2 days in the fridge, and then I used a fresh carbonated soda right into the machine. I used no water. I poured the root beer right into the machine. I added the sugar, and that was it. And all 3 of them, everybody in the office tasted all 3 flavors. Believe it or not, they voted for the SodaStream concentrate. The carbonated soda from the root beer actually was wow, fizzy, popped. They took a bite and was like, wow, that's very fizzy. The flat one, it just tastes exactly like a flat root beer. And then the concentrate actually came in for the win because it made it taste like you were eating a root beer Italian ice. So I would assume using an extract for an ice cream would probably be your better bet than putting real soda in there, because it'll make it very crystally.
There's just no flavor that you can't make, but there's just some flavors that you shouldn't be making.
Root beer's good.
Root beer's good, but there are fads that come along, like Christie's, Hidden Valley Ranch dressing ice cream. But you're going to hear, especially out of the West Coast, people making all sorts of exotic things. The latest gimmick is supposed to be coming from Italy, but I don't know, where you're putting olive oil into the ice cream. And there's just certain things that I don't think go with ice cream. And if you want to do it as a flavor of the week and risk your money and your reputation, that's perfectly fine too. There is one exception. I make a lavender ice cream. I made it down at Penn State. You got a whole room full of, angry football players, and You get up in front of them and just say, okay guys, today we're going to make lavender ice cream and you're going to love it. And they're all grumbling like, you know, what are you talking about? Well, Tyranny, this company that Jeff showed you before, let me grab a bottle. Oh, and it happens to be lavender. This is a great flavor ice cream. Tyranny makes lavender syrup. You pour that into the machine. I add chocolate chips or coffee espresso, chocolate espresso beans. And the name just sounds like not something I want to eat, but it really is an incredibly addictive flavor. So that's fun to do. I think the number of flavors that I recommend in stores now, we're okay?
About a minute.
Okay, I'll talk in 58 seconds.
Okay.
We used to do stores, 32 flavors and a repertoire of 60 flavors. Some people still do. Most of the people I work with now a lot of them are, a big segment are now under 49 years old. And they're doing, because of the cost of the store itself, I used to do 1,700 square foot stores. Now I'm doing 900, 800 square foot. Very tight. We're not going to have 32 flavors. We're going to have 12 flavors. 10 of them are going to be ice creams that everybody, you know, eats and loves. One's going to be something exotic, and the other flavor is going to be a flavor of the week that you advertise on social media. So that you know, you're always looking for a reason to get people to come back in and try something. So 12 works very well for me, and then a separate cabinet, a smaller one. I've got a small one in the back you can look at later, that I'm going to use for dairy-free, which is a coconut-based or oat-based ice cream product, though there's no dairy in it, so you can't call it ice cream. It's vegan, and I'm hitting the largest group that's ever come along since me and Jeff, the baby boomers. We're hitting the millennials and the Gen Zs and the Gen X, and it all adds up. You want to have something for everybody. And there we're going to do 2 or 3, depending on demand, of dairy-free and the Italian ices, which we might call, depending on your neighborhood. In the Bronx, it's Italian ice. In Philadelphia, it's Italian water ice. If it's in Palm Beach, Florida, it's going to be called fresh fruit sorbet. You know, it's all the same stuff, just different names. So that's the makeup of the typical stores that I'm doing today. Less flavors, very, very high quality that you can count on no matter when you go back. That ice cream is going to taste just like the way you remember. Let's see how fast that comes out.
Oh, you can smell it.
So we have the consistency from front to back. That's very, very important. Nobody else does that. You look at other videos, and it's coming out real slow through these bars, and they tell you that the bars add design to it, which goes away after you scoop it once. It's just because they aren't clever enough to invent a safety guard that doesn't restrict. I have great people working for me, and great engineers. Yogi Berra, the great baseball player, talking about a restaurant out on Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. And he said, the place is so popular, nobody goes there anymore. And when you think about it, that's so true. You see a long line, and you know there's a long line. If I'm at the end of the line, I know I'm going to get served in 5 minutes. Great, I'm here. But if I'm at the end of this line and they're spending 5 minutes with someone like, they've got 4 different versions of Death by Chocolate. Oh, do I want this one? Do I want that one? And I guarantee you everyone in this audience has a favorite flavor ice cream, and you're probably going to end up buying it anyway. But if you slow that line down, people nowadays will walk away. Since COVID, we are so sick of lines. So don't create them. Yes, sir.
Okay, you talk about samples. Is it illegal in some places to give out samples?
I have never seen a place that it was illegal to give out samples, but that's what you can, you've just hit on something great. We're going to tell people, excuse me, can I have a sample of this? I'm sorry, by state law it's illegal. Or by the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, says I can no longer give out samples. Make it up. You've hit on a great one. Yes.
Did you mean to lead us over?
No, I didn't. Would you mind closing it? I was looking at it and thinking, I got to get there someday. I left the freezer door
If
open.
you absolutely must have to do samples, please limit. Don't let people like them stand in line and order 4 samples while you've got 12 more people in the line behind them. Limit it to just 1 or 2.
And when this real sweet couple comes in and takes a sample of this and a sample of this and a sample of this, and now they're full and they walk out, you're going to be so mad.
There's a TV show called Extreme Cheapskates, and a couple, this guy did that on purpose so he didn't have to buy ice cream. Went and asked for samples.
We can't figure out how to close the freezer.
You got to pull the.
Well, there was
parts
something
out.
in the way.
No, it's the lids, the handle.
It's the handle.
Pull it forward. Pull.
Yeah, I agree. This is not even. That's what I heard go clunk.
Yeah, that's what yours go clunk. See, it's hidden right here.
Yeah, it's moved. Let me get Mickey. We're gonna call in.
How many people did it take to close the freezer?
We're gonna find out.
One female.
Christy, that was my answer. It takes
Three
a
guys,
woman.
one female.
Oh.
So who's the smartest? Women or men?
Well, who are you asking? Of course, women.
Well, it proves it. 3 guys couldn't close it. 1 female comes over and closes it like that. So, you know.
That's like the California version of how many people does it take to change a light bulb? 3. 1 to do it and 2 to share the experience.
Yeah.
Or how many people does it take in New York City? 3. No, excuse me. How many people in New York City? None of your business.
Yeah, we thought we was gonna break it. No, you go. Yeah, we don't want to break it, you know, because they charge us.
My solution is I'm going to use this one from now on.
So what do you guys think of the butterscotch?
It's great. Really good.
Would you do with those flavors?
I just put them in the freezer for a while so they wouldn't melt because of the butterscotch.
No, Kendall packs them.
I know,
I need
but
them
it
back.
wasn't time yet. We got to do questions answered
Yeah.
and then have lunch.
You guys start.
All right, hold on 1 second. We're just going to bring some chairs up. Now, this is your opportunity. Ask anything you can come up. There are no silly questions, so please ask questions. Well, hold on. Let us get seated first.
Need a bucket?
No, Kendall does this. Thank you. You guys, Steve, go ahead and start.
Okay.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Jeff. I sit here because Christy and Jeff fight. This way, I'm the moderator. Okay, someone had a question.
Well, I have one.
Okay, right
I
here.
just like, you know, if you have, you're going around to these fairs and selling ice cream, and you go from one county to another, do you have to have like permits for each county, or how does that work?
I don't know the answer.
The permits are handled by the people who put on the expo or whatever it is you're going to.
Oh.
However, there is something that should be kept in mind. You're required by the people who run these things to book several months in advance.
Yeah.
And at that point, you pay for it. And they run about $1,200 for the 3 days.
Yeah.
Weather does not get you a refund.
Whoa.
If it rains, if you happen to hit a weekend where it's nasty and rainy, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, because you know you're going to transport there at an expense to you, and you've already paid for 3 days of a fair. And keep an eye on the weather. Not that you can do anything about it, but you can circumvent it, because if the weather's bad, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
So just that's one of the, there's a lot of upsides to this, but that's a downside. They require you to pay in advance, and they do that because of the weather.
So, do you make like the ice cream and bring it with you, or do you bring the machine with you and make the ice cream?
No,
there?
normally you would have an off-premise site and then make the ice cream or ices
Yeah.
and transport it in a portable, I used a portable freezer that went on a trailer. And you can plug it into your car and keep it running. Or if it's not a long distance, just put it on the back and keep it closed, and it'll maintain the integrity of the product.
Oh, okay.
Question back there.
Yeah, you were using a lot of extracts, but that vanilla you're using wasn't an extract, right?
The vanilla is an extract, yes.
It is.
That's the only way vanilla comes.
It was in a gallon, I don't know
Yeah,
what,
it's an extra.
I'm sorry?
it was in a gallon jug.
Yeah, it was my gallon jug of Lockheed vanilla, and
Because we use a lot of it.
Yeah.
yeah. Tom, I don't know how many of you would remember Tom Carvel. He owned Carvel ice cream parlors up in the north and here in Florida. And I knew Tom. I was one of the few people that he liked. He couldn't stand my father and my uncle because Dad threw him out of the factory in 1950. But Tom used to say, back when prices weren't what they were, he said, I send my spies into the stores and I tell them only taste the vanilla. Because in his words, if they're cheating on the vanilla, you can be darn sure they're cheating on the butterscotch. And it really is true. That's what I do when I go around the country. People say, hey, you want to try our salted caramel? No, I want to try your vanilla. Because your vanilla will tell me what the rest of your store is like. Because you can't hide anything in vanilla. So make a great vanilla. And the buying extracts in the supermarket isn't going to cut it. But there's some great companies. There's Weber and iRice Company and a few others that are terrific. Well,
I wanted to know something. For health reasons, do you really need to wear like rubber gloves or a hair net in some of these places?
I think that's a county thing. Like every county is different.
I believe it's when making the ice cream it might be. I know at Penn State we always had to.
I mean, when you're serving it.
I don't think so.
Well,
No.
I require all the girls to tie their hair back severely or wear a hairnet, because you don't want somebody doing this.
No.
And we have that occasionally. People come up to the register with a hair like this.
I came up with a great idea for an ice cream parlor taken from one in Philadelphia, where the man had a long, narrow store, front to back. And so he had rope lines when you came in the door and came down to direct you to the back of the store. And there would be a person there, and he's pushing for you to buy the ice cream in a cup. So the server would say, would you like your ice cream in a cone or a cup? And you take it in the cup, and then the server then goes down to the ice cream, and you pick the flavor, and the server puts it in, and they have a topping bar. Would you like? And you eat with your eyes, so you throw on some M&Ms, and then you throw on some pecan pralines and some other junk, just like a little kid. You really load it up, and then you take it down to the cash register, and the person who helped you with, would you like a cone or a cup, then cashes it out, and then goes back. Meanwhile, the other person in line she's just cashed or he's just cashed out someone and goes back to the front. So two people are working this line just great. And it worked beautifully. Then COVID came along. And so now people look askance at you. Like we had a birthday party the other day, and the birthday recipient didn't blow out the candles. They fanned them, which was sad. But that's what we do now. So that line worked great, except I would have to add rubber gloves because you're touching money or touching credit cards, and I don't want the person who's scooping my ice cream to be cashing it out and then serving the next person. So gloves, yes. Nets, no.
I've been in some of these stations where they're serving stuff, and they got counters set up with different flavors in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest part of them that I've seen have got such a mess there because kids come in there and they dip from one to the other, and it's really revolting.
Yeah,
to see this.
I don't. We used to go to a place back in the early 60s in White Plains, New York, that you would get soft ice cream and then put your own toppings on. It was one of the first, and it was always a mess. And that's not good. It's interesting when you think about it. We'll eat what we call a dirty water dog, a hot dog. We'll eat a dirty water dog out of a truck. We'll eat it out of a cart on the side of 57th Avenue in Manhattan. But when it comes to ice cream, if it isn't clean and pristine, we're not going to go in there. We had a place in Rye, New York, an ice cream parlor, Baskin Robbins. And I've got nothing against tattoos. My wife has a beautiful one. This guy had a lot of tattoos. That was fine. But he wore an apron that was white, and it was always dirty with ice cream stains on it. Now, I knew it was ice cream stains. It didn't bother me. He also had 4 banks of lights, and only one of them was on to save energy. Nobody went into his store. He looked dirty. The store looked dingy because of poor lighting. And it doesn't count, again, with a hot dog, but it sure does count with ice cream. Someone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to revisit the question a while ago about the choosing the homemade version. I think that has to do maybe with some of the overrun. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And we're wanting to provide certainly a premium or to super premium level ice cream, and some of the stuff that I've read about it, I think that's equated a lot of times with quality. Whether Ben & Jerry's is running 25% overrun or 50% overrun, but
Ben & Jerry's is 50.
Could you just address that as to, because I think you talked about the scoopability of it. I think that probably has something to do with how dense the ice cream is as well, and just give me some input on your thoughts on how to make a super premium ice cream, or is that necessary or not necessary?
I think we both can answer. I have inputs too. And do you want to go first?
No, go right ahead.
So Steve always has said nobody comes back because you have great air content. They come back because you have great ice cream. Running at homemade speed is doubling your product. So if you're putting in 5 quarts of mix or 10 quarts of mix, you're getting 20 quarts of product back out. Actually, a little more, especially since you're going to be adding cookies. When you add, inclusions, you're going to get a little bit more volume coming out. You run at a super premium, you're not going to get, more bang for you're not getting the bang for your buck. I personally, when I have tried a super premium ice cream like a Ben & Jerry's and a Talenti's, Talenti is a gelato, Ben & Jerry is a super premium. They're both thick to me. They're both creamy to me. They're both, good, soft products to me. Your scoopability also, the thicker and heavier it is, can be a little harder to scoop. You'll be working with cookies, which has a higher sugar content, which will make yours a lot more easier to scoop than just a plain Jane vanilla. Or like a butterscotch will be softer to scoop. I personally, if it was my shop, would always run at a homemade setting because I'm going to get double what I put in, and that way I know that I am serving my customers still fantastic ice cream. And working with a higher butter fat content, you are in Tennessee, so you can do 12, 14%. I've even had 16%, and I honestly can't taste the difference between 14 and 16, but I'm not a scientist either, and some ice cream connoisseurs, I guess, could, but the average Joe can't.
You're looking at the person, I had completely forgotten this until now. You're looking at the person who owns the trademark ultra premium ice cream. Ultra premium. Super premium is a made-up term. It was made up, somewhere in the 80s, and we just started calling, Haagen-Dazs super premium ice cream. There is really no such thing, even though it exists. It exists right there on my machine. I did ultra premium and trademarked it because I thought it was absolutely ridiculous and fun. Never used it, and you don't see it anywhere. But where does it stop? Michaela, flag the tape. There's,
you mean Christy?
No, Michaela. She's running the board there, so you can flag it later. But we came up with Sports Illustrated every year. Everybody knows I'm not telling you anything different. We always have this the model, the bathing suit issue. I have a hard time telling the difference between a model and a supermodel. I think they both look great. And I don't know that many people can tell you the difference between super premium ice cream and homemade. There is an air content difference, and I guess if I was running your store, your business with the extraordinary cookies, I would advertise super premium and I would run it at that level. I'm amazed how many people, everybody, one of the big reasons people buy our machine is because of the infinite overrun control. It's unlike anything else. But you go back and visit them and they're running on homemade, unless they're made for ice cream. If they're doing something different like dairy-free or frozen custard, yeah, they go to the lower level. It doesn't change the texture that to any significant amount. It changes the weight. And like I said, use the analogy, instead of the supermodel, use the analogy of birthday cake and pound cake, because that's really what you're talking about. And that pound cake is going to weigh so heavy, people are going to walk out and say, I like the ice cream, but for some reason it makes me feel ill. I just wouldn't do it.
Even like adding that pudding mix, like the box of the instant Jell-O pudding mix, even thickens up the products and makes it very heavy and thick. And I run that on homemade setting. I've done that many times. It's a very thick and creamy type of ice cream. And just like Steve said and I said, you can't taste the air content difference. And might as well, if you're going to make a fantastic ice cream, double your yield. You know, get that 20 quarts back out, or 22 quarts probably with your cookies. Nobody's going to come back because you had really good air content.
Jeff, tell them what's the one thing that matters in ice cream as far as what people eat.
You tell me. What is it?
Flavor.
Taste.
Flavor, yeah. The flavor.
Yeah.
If the ice cream's bland, I mean, if you don't use enough vanilla, it's bland. I always say, you know, if you hand, because we're not using artificial colors, if you hand me a pale pink ice cream and I say, wow, that's delicious, what is it? You just failed as an ice cream maker, because I can't tell that it's red raspberry instead of strawberry. It's all about the flavor. We can talk machines all day long. It's all about the flavor. Garbage in, garbage out. Buy the best, use a lot of it, and the money will be huge. Yes, sir.
Well, how much maintenance on the machine on the machine? So, because it's obvious to do whatever flavor and you want and whatever quality you want, but what's the maintenance and the life on the machine?
The maintenance is as close to zero as we can get it. Okay. The life of the machine, the average Emery Thompson lasts 40 years. We have machines out there that are 70 years old working in universities, like I think University of Maryland and Pennsylvania and Clemson.
Belt-driven machines.
Yeah, we also have machines that only made it 35 years. I've got one we're looking at right now that's in trouble because it's been out on somewhere, I think it's the Santa Monica Pier. And the salt water is the air in the air is getting to the machine. The average machine made by everybody else lasts 7 years. If you want proof of that, go to eBay, look at how many Emery Thompsons are up for sale and the age of them. I think you'll bring it down to about 3 usable machines. And you look at the other machines, we don't even count Chinese. We don't even talk about them because they don't last 4 months. But you look at the Italian machines and you're looking at a 7-year average lifespan before it's up on eBay. Not because anybody went out of business, but because they just can't keep up on the maintenance. The maintenance consists of 2 little round O-rings on a drive shaft that you can remove by taking a butter knife or a kitchen knife and just rolling them off once a year and rolling them back on. The scraper blades used to be the 2 knives that spin around and scrape off the walls. We used to sharpen them once a year. Now, I have it's a flawless method of judging whether you need to change your scraper blades. Every time you make $1 million in gross sales in your store, it's time to change your knives. That will work out to about 5 years. $1 million. It may come out to 5 years at the worst. It might come out to 3 years. It could be 1 if you're running 5 stores off one machine.
1 store. Daytona Beach, 1 store, 1 million.
Don't talk too much because the IRS is listening to you. I'll be right with you. There's another one. But that's it. Is the blade? There are springs on the blades. You'll see if you look over here during lunch. You'll see our dashers, as we call them. They have springs. We used to have the blades fly out against the wall, centrifugal force. Then we started doing lower speeds, and they wouldn't fly out. So now my engineers designed spring-loaded blades, real heavy springs. So if a blade is 1 day old, it's going to really push out against the walls. Okay. If it's 4 years and 11 months old, it's still really going to push out against the walls. But we know it won't make it through another season, so we sell you 4 springs. Big deal. 4 springs and 2 O-rings over, every year or two. It's not much money. Everything else in the machine, we make about 72% of the parts in the machine between this factory, the one I've got up the street 2 doors, and the one across the street. We make 72% of our own parts. The rest of our parts are American-made compressors, American-made motors, American-made transmissions. I can't say it's 100% American-made because I can't guarantee that some wire somewhere didn't come from Mexico. But I don't have, like everybody else, mostly a Chinese component machine. I won't do it. I don't sell to the Chinese. I won't buy from the Chinese. So we've got a machine that is unlike anything you've ever owned, and people say, how can you do that? There's no planned obsolescence. And I go, exactly. There's no planned obsolescence because you're going to brag about your machine to at least 10 or 15 other people in its lifetime. And they're going to come to Emery Thompson because so-and-so said, I started Haagen-Dazs ice cream with an Emery Thompson, and, why would you go anywhere else? There's nothing like us. Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering that when you're talking about going from one place to the other, is it better to have a certain size machine in that unit?
I didn't understand.
You got a trailer.
Oh, you're going to keep the machine most likely at home, not in the trailer. You're not going to make ice cream or ices while you're selling it. There's too much of a lag time. You make it and then you throw it in a freezer for at least 3 or 4 hours. So,
is it when you're in one of these units? Is it better to have like the same size cup or whatever you're going to put this stuff in all the time, or should you have 2 or 3 different sizes in there?
Okay, the question is, do I need different size cups if I'm doing ices or bowls or ice cream? Labor, what it is, expensive and hard to find. You want to keep that store as simple as possible. That's why I went from 32 flavors down to 12 flavors. I want this business dead simple. Emery Thompson, I've designed it so well that if I go away next week down to our Jupiter office, this place is going to run like clockwork. Christy is going to handle all the sales and marketing. Mike is going to handle the questions that come in about repairs. Slade is going to handle the factory floor. That's the way you want your business to be. Everybody is replaceable and everybody can substitute for you. That's a well-run business. So somebody other than you should know how to make the ice cream. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question, kind of piggybacking off this gentleman here. The infinite overrun, how does that affect when making Italian ice?
Okay, good question. The infinite overrun and Italian ice. There is basically no air or very little air in Italian ice. If you take, well, nobody knows what an ice cube tray is anymore. Oh, you do. Okay, good. If you have a wood boat in Michigan on a nice little lake, and you leave that boat in Michigan in the wintertime, you'll come back in the spring and your boat will be crushed because the ice, the water freezes and water expands. I think it's 17%, maybe 14%. It expands out, crushes your boat. So the best you're going to get as far as overrun is going to be about a 10% overrun or maybe a 20% air content. No matter what speed you run it in, because there's no dairy fat in it. There's no cells. Are you making a cream ice?
No.
Okay. If you make a cream ice, it's got a little, that's all right. It has a little bit of milk in it, but otherwise there's no milk in it to expand. Milk is a fat, and the fat cells expand. Water is water. It only expands a little bit when you freeze it. So I don't care what speed you run it on. I don't care whose machine you run it on. You use my formulas and you'll have the world's greatest Italian ice. The difference is my machine's going to last 40 years and the dasher is never going to break, and yours is not going to last 3 weeks without breaking because Italian ice is the consistency of wet cement. You need a cement mixer. That's what we build.
And I guess that's where I was going. I was trying to make sure I understood the amount or quantity of ingredients that you get those 6 quarts out of, let's say, this CB350.
Well,
So, was that in reference to the dairy-free, or the dairy?
The Italian ice.
Just Italian.
Oh, Italian ice. To get the 6 quarts out, you probably can do 4 quarts, 4.5. I wouldn't push it. I'd leave it at.
Say that again?
Do 4 quarts is what I would usually. That's when I make an Italian ice. So we're gonna make one at the very last flavor, and you'll notice I do 4 quarts of liquid and 2 pounds of sugar. Adding that 2 pounds of sugar just made the volume go up a little bit more. So I'm gonna wind up with a good, almost pushing 6 quarts of finished product.
Yeah.
How I explain it to people is, you got a mixing bowl. If you were to put sugar and coconut milk in that mixing bowl, take your whisk and whisk it, you're going to sit there for 2 hours and it's not doing anything. It's not going anywhere. It's still going to be coconut milk and sugar in a bowl. That's it. You do that with heavy whipping cream, you pour that in a bowl with the whisk and some sugar, it's going to wind up making fluffy, homemade Cool Whip is what you're getting. That's because heavy cream has fat. So that's how I explain it to people so you get a visual. I'm a visual person.
That's good, and it's high fat.
It's high fat.
30%.
It's very high fat.
As opposed to milk at 4%.
30. Like it's at 30, 20-something percent. Anyways, are we good on questions? No? Okay.
One last question. Do you make products that are for overseas usage?
Oh yeah, we're in, what are we in, 142 countries? Used to be 172 countries. I cut it down. I will not sell to China. I will not sell to Russia. I won't sell to some countries that just make it impossible to deal with. India. India has so many, I'd love to sell to India. It's a huge market. But Christy also handles the final exporting and the export and the stories I hear of 6 months just to get it past Indian customs. But otherwise, we're in every country in the world. I mean, you can't name a country that doesn't have Emery Thompson in it, which is great. And so we build to all the different voltages. You tell me the country, I'll tell you what the voltage is going to be. I'll tell you that it's going to be, in Ghana, it's going to be 50 hertz. And on the bigger machines, it's going to be 380 volts as opposed to 220. We build it. Everything is handmade, so we're hand making it to where you're going.
And in Philadelphia, it's Jalen Hurts.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Stabilizers, how long should ice cream last, given them to the customer and home, and the amount of...
If it's good, it won't take very long, will it?
Well, yeah, I understand that. But the longer that you don't have it in the freezer or cold, you start getting more ice crystals, which break down your ice cream.
I don't understand.
I don't like stabilizers. I never have.
The ice cream is going to come with stabilizers in it, but they're going to be all natural. The blend that you buy is going to have guar, which is a gum, possibly carrageenan, which is seaweed. If something's got polysorbate 80 in it, run like hell. I don't want that in there. But these are to extend the life of the dairy while you have it before you turn it into ice cream.
Steve has a great saying that I will go to my grave remembering. If you're not eating it or it's not selling after a week, it's the wrong flavor.
Yeah.
So you don't need it to last. If its shelf life is 6 months, who cares?
It's
if
a bad
nobody's eating
flavor.
it, yeah. But if it's good, it'll go, like when you bring home a pint of a good ice cream, it's not going to sit in your freezer for a week, is it? It's pretty much, especially you'd eat it in one night, as I would. So that's good ice cream.
But if you're transporting ice cream, if you're doing wholesale and you've got 1,000 pints, cold is the best preservative on earth. These chest freezers go to minus 10 Fahrenheit. This hardening cabinet here, blast freezer, is 25 below zero. At 25 below zero, it's going to last months and months and months in there. If that's the answer you're looking for, is it'll be forever. But otherwise, Jeff is right. I make coffee banana ice cream. awful flavor to most people. I've learned to like it because it was preservation. It was the only way I could keep ice cream in those chest freezers without everybody stealing my ice cream. It's make something that's just so horrible. Christie's, what do you call it?
Ranch?
The ranch dressing is coming up now in 4 months. I think it's going to go to a 7-year record. But yeah, I think that's really the answer to what you're talking about. Is the colder it is, the longer you can store it. The Haagen-Dazs, if you buy it out in Los Angeles, it was made in Lodi, New Jersey, most likely, and is probably already 6 weeks old before it gets to the store. So no problem. As long as it's super cold, it'll last forever.
You had a
Almost
question
last
in the
forever.
back?
I just want to know how old the ranch dressing ice cream was.
Oh, quite old.
Yeah, and getting older by the minute.
You're still welcome to, taste it.
Yeah.
0 out of 10 recommend.
For the hardening cabinet, how long in between batches or time can I move them?
8 hours.
Or overnight.
Yeah. But that is more than just hardening the ice cream quickly, which keeps ice crystals from happening. That's your inventory. That's where you're going to draw from. Like I said this morning, you're not going to make just one tub of a flavor. You're going to make 5 or 6 tubs of that flavor because you're running a store. So leave it in there and it's not going to deteriorate at all. Move it out to the dipping cabinet and Baskin-Robbins says you have 10 days to sell it. So rather than tick off that 10 days, leave it in there and wake up every morning, have your coffee or tea, and turn on the Weather Channel to see what the weather's going to be like for this weekend. If there's a hurricane coming through, leave it in there. If it's going to be 95 degrees with a real feel of 110, start pulling it out of there and put it into your serving cabinets.
Jeff, you want to talk about your book?
No.
Yeah, we do.
I'll talk about you.
All right, you talk about Jeff's book. I'll talk about mine.
I only have 2.
Well, you'll make more.
You put one in your bag.
Yeah, but it was a thin one.
Okay. You'll make more. Jeff produced this book. It's his recipes. You know those ones that you just watched where he goes zing, 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 zing? He actually did reduce it to paper. And there aren't a lot of great books out there about making ice cream and Italian ices and other products. And this is one of the great ones. And I know people who have opened up their store with this book and just this book and have been very successful.
And these are tried and true recipes that were in his store and very successful. You won't fail with any of those recipes that are in there.
You won't find Sharknado in here.
No.
You won't find Sharknado in there.
And this is our recipe book.
Christie's book.
This one has over 100 recipes. It has, each flavor that you see will be broken down into the size machine that you do purchase. Jeff's book is like that as well. These are not recipes that have been in a store, but flavors like you see us create here that have been made over the 120 years now. So stay tuned for volume 2 in the next 120 years. And Jeff has some. You can purchase his. How much are they, Jeff?
Steve made me lower them for the class. They're 40.
Oh, okay. So he only has a few here today, but you can always send him an email and reach out to purchase one, and he can ship it to you. You can purchase these here through Kendall. There is one that's open. If you want to kind of finger through it, see inside the book, you can go see Kendall in the front office, and she'll be happy to help you.
To paraphrase, D'Agostino's supermarkets in New York, which is world famous if you're in New York, their slogan would have been something like, love that mint chip, love that mango. Enough of this love making. Let's eat.
You had a good lunch? You all set?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. I didn't notice the $10 each that we charge for lunch. I didn't see it in the kitty there. All right, we made a little revision here. I decided for the last thing, I've never tasted guava. But I thought, it's a hot flavor, so we'll try it. But I thought instead of ice cream, we'll go with guava cream ice. Keep it in the fruity, refreshing. And on your sheet it says guava berry. Guava's not a berry. Guava's a fruit. So the cream ice recipe, which you guys have already, it's 3-2-1. 3 quarts of water, 2 pounds of sugar, 1 quart of mix. So since we're doing half, we'll make it 1.5 quarts of water, 1 pound of sugar, and 1 quart of mix, or half a quart of mix. Half a quart of mix. And then I bought this, no laughing now, I bought this guava paste. I don't know. We'll see. So let's start. And I'm substituting brown sugar for white sugar because it's guava. I'm not sure about it. You know, let's punch it up a little. So we'll pour in the water. We'll put in the mix. And we'll start the machine up and put the sugar in.
What you making?
Guava cream ice.
Oh, boy.
I don't know what it is.
Oh. Well, I hope somebody does.
You gotta steal the Cheetos. I know Steve likes pretzels.
Sherbet.
It's a better name. Sherbet was, when we were growing up, sherbet was, orange sherbet or raspberry sherbet. It was always sticky and gummy from all the chemicals. That's why I mentioned earlier you can throw anything into, oh, that's cute. Don't drop it. You can throw anything into ice cream and not notice it, but Italian ice, any chemical is going to show up, and that's what sherbet always was a sticky,
This
gummy
looks sort
product.
of gross, doesn't it?
It looks like gel cranberries.
It'll be good when it comes out.
You think?
I hope.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's Goya. I mean, how can you go wrong with Goya?
Right. This is guava paste.
Where did you get it from, Jeff?
Where did I get it? Walmart.
It's Goya brand, Goya. You just look in the bean section and it'll be in there.
I thought I've never had it, so we'll try it.
So if the customer asks, what is cream ice? We just tell them it's
Sherbet?
sherbet.
It is.
Okay, that's how we answer it.
No, that's what it is. It should. If you look at, let me add this, then we'll talk.
And then they will ask me, why don't you list it as just sherbet?
It's sugar.
Say when.
It's sugar, water, flavor, and some dairy. It's the dairy that makes it the cream ice.
It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
If you think of ice cream over here and Italian ice is over here, you meet in the middle.
It's very refreshing. It's inexpensive to make, and it can be any flavor you want. We've changed Italian ices a lot. When I was growing up, it was lemon, cherry, grape, orange, chocolate. Now I do Oreo cookie Italian ice, my failed mint chip Italian ice. I can do any flavor,
That's not
salted
bad.
caramel Italian ice, anything I can do, any of those flavors that you see at my 600
add some
videos
more?
at
I don't know.
emerythompson.com. Anything you see there that's ice
Put
cream,
it in?
you can make an Italian ice by just doubling the flavor. Dairy product has a taste to it. You drink a glass of
Add
milk,
some-
it's got taste. But you eat
too lazy.
Italian ice is just water, so we double the flavor. 1 bag of Oreo cookies for ice cream, 2 bags for Italian ice. So the same for cream ice.
You said double the flavor?
Yes,
Okay.
that's it. That's all you have to do. That's the big secret.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
So the 24-quarter machine, what is the minimum I can run it on?
10 quarts. When you look at other machines, and I can't imagine why you would, you're going to see that they say 24 quart, 17 quart, 19 quart. These are, can you swing the camera all the way over this way? Let's see. Yeah, these are false readings. What the other companies do, we tell you how much comes out of the machine when it's finished. I'll be right with you, Jeff. We tell you how much comes out of the machine. 24 quarts comes out, 6 quarts comes out, 12 quarts comes out. What everybody else does is they take their cylinder, somebody left their glasses here, and they turn it on end, and they fill it up with water. And they say, this holds 24 quarts of water. Therefore, it's a 24-quart machine. It will, in its whole life, never make 24 quarts of anything. It's going to make about 16 or 17 quarts because you need room for the beater to go in, you need room for the ingredients, you need room for expansion. So they're basically lying to you. When an Electrofreeze or a Cappigiani or a Stolting or someone else says they have a 12-quart machine, it doesn't make 12 quarts. When we say it's a 12-quart machine, which is half of this, that's the finished capacity of the machine. It's really that simple. It's very deceptive. I just don't believe in doing deceptive stuff like that. So that's your finished capacity. And you can make half batches on these bigger machines. This thing is really heavy. I don't think we... So that's basically what we do with these. You'll see these being made out on the factory floor. Stainless steel, copper, insulation.
One question, what's the size of the duck that goes inside that?
We add white chocolate.
Third one.
Guava? No. What? Okay, good idea.
You chuckled when you tasted that. Why'd you chuckle?
Because it's pretty good, actually. I don't know what guava is, but I know you see it a lot, and it's a particularly Hispanic flavor because I read up on it, and it's the Caribbean, northern South America, only the northern countries, and the Caribbean. So it's a very tropical fruit, and they show pictures of it, and it looks kind of cool. It's red in the middle and a yellow skin, and so I thought we'll try it. It does. It makes a good drink. What guava juice? Yeah. There you go. So we put in both cans of guava paste. I looked for guava fruits in the store, but the guy in Publix said to me, don't buy those because each one, they're hard, you know, they got to ripen, and so he said don't bother. So I bought the paste, guava, which is condensed guava, and we'll see. I don't know, that thing looked gnarly when we put it in. What? What? Starfruit? No, I haven't done that.
Yes.
The 24-quart machine, but as we're coming up formulating our recipes, and we just want to do test batches, do we do like half batches in that?
Yes. You put 5 quarts in, and you'll get 10 quarts of ice cream back out. We call it the 24-quart machine. The ice cream people use, they make 20-quart finished batches because these bags are 10 quarts. So we double this, we get 20. So all your formulations are going to be based on 20 quarts finished product out of the 24-quart machine. The Italian ice people, they're not using bags. They're using the sink. They're measuring out the water and the sugar and the flavor. So their formulations are for 24 quarts, 1 gallon more. Because with a freeze time double that of ice cream, or a little more sometimes, it's worth it to them in a day of production to make a larger batch, the 4 quarts larger. So ice cream is based on these, Italian ice is based on 24 quarts finished. And on that machine you can do a half batch. So you put in 5 quarts and you'll get back 10 quarts of ice cream. Anybody else?
All right. Any other questions? Not you. Any other questions?
Yeah, where do I get bubble gum trees? I want bubblegum bushes.
My competitor. Or cotton candy. Okay, test them, okay?
I think they're falling
Test
asleep.
them. Ty,
Yes.
why do we want to go into a business of frozen desserts?
Well, it's
Number one,
number one.
why do you want to get into the frozen dessert business?
Profit.
Profit, number one. Profit. In all frozen desserts, profit, number one. What's the second reason?
Make people happy.
Well, it's easy to make.
Art.
Art is an art form.
Art, we're creating. We want to create. Because if it's just profit you're interested in, you can sell shoes.
Right.
But what this enables us to do, make a very handsome profit and be creative.
And be happy at the same time.
And be inventive and come up with things and put our signature on things. And the third reason is this business is fun.
Yes.
You know, when you open up an ice cream or an ice store, you're going to have fun.
Can I say something? Ever since we took the class, it actually took all the thinking part out of it.
Yeah, you know what? It's pulling the curtain back.
It makes you see how simple it is to create something. You know, it doesn't take that much.
Yeah, the boot camp is excellent course.
And the fourth reason, so we're going to get into this business because it's an unfathomable profit, as we illustrated, right? We drew it on the board, all the profit. It's art. You're going to create things, and three, you're going to have fun. And number four,
Keep it simple.
this business is simple.
Yes.
It's simple.
It is.
You get a great machine, which is 99% of it. You buy some recipes if you don't want to come up with your own. I gave them 100. The book has 20 some on, which is all you need. And all you're going to do is you're going to make ice cream, sell ice cream, and go to the bank. It's a very, very simple process. It's not hard at all. As a matter of fact, you guys could do it. What? No, they don't teach you this in college. In college, you got to have 5 semesters of business, which you don't need. This is very simple. The secret to the success in this business, make a great product, make an absolutely great product. Charge a fair price, fair to you, fair to the customer. Treat everybody nice. That's it. Very simple. And of course, the big one, no plan B. You're going to do it, you do it. Okay, let's see what we got. Steve, you ever have guava?
Maybe one time recently.
I like guava paste. You buy it in a small block and you slice it. You put it with some
That's what we
cheese and
put
a
it.
cracker. No.
Yeah, that's guava paste.
Not the guava paste I eat.
Well, I bought the expensive stuff.
You can't win. Don't bother.
Okay, we ready?
If you say so.
Guava, baby. Guava cream ice.
Yes.
Woo! Shut it off. Listen for it to shut off.
Here you go.
We're ready to roll.
All right.
Guava, baby.
Yeah, gotta get it. You gonna use that one?
Guava. Yes, sir.
At the height of your store, how many batches were you making per day?
Do you work for the IRS?
In the slow time, per day doesn't matter because sometimes you come in at 1 in the morning. But in the slow time, we did 300 a week. When it's crowded, you know, when it's busy, like in the summer now, you do more. But, and I told everybody, we teach in our class, start with this machine for 2 reasons. The big reason is, of course, it's 1/3 the price of this one. But more important, because you'll be making ice cream more often, because it's a smaller output, you'll get better at it. And you'll come to understand not only the art of making ice cream, but the inventiveness of it. You'll be saying, ooh, how about if I do this? And then you'll come up with something that I didn't tell you. Something that we made, the French toast ice cream. You may come up with that. You may come up with pancakes and maple syrup ice cream.
Chicken and waffles.
Well, I don't go there.
Not if there was ranch.
Yeah.
So that's why that machine makes sense. Eventually, you'll have this one, no doubt about it. Eventually, you'll have this one. Because in 9 months or 6 months, you'll say, boy, I don't want to make ice cream every other day. So you'll say, and now you have the money for it, because it's been 6 months, you got tons of money in the bank, and now you'll say, well, I'll get this one. And then your big question will be, oh, I guess I better save that for test batches and for small ones, and in case this one breaks. No, just put it on eBay, and in 15 minutes it's gone. They'll pick it up for you, and now you've got 1/3 of this paid for, because if you buy this, I'm outstepping my bounds.
No, you're doing great. Go ahead.
If you buy this and keep it for 6 months, the cost for you to have this machine for 6 months will be about $2,000, which is unheard of in any equipment in the world. So, and then you have this one. And Mike just said, can this make test batches? Well, there's really no such thing as a test batch, because you'll test it on the counter. You'll know before you make it if it's going to fly or not. But to make small batches, if the occasion arises, and the only thing I can think of is if you're going to a party or if somebody asks for something that's not on the menu in your store. So otherwise, this is like a tank, a Sherman tank, and you don't need a backup to it.
Another reason for this one is, besides everything Jeff said, I can double the production of this machine with one phone call. It's that simple. 1 3-minute phone call, and I'll tell you how that phone call goes. I had this conversation with a gentleman here this morning. Almost every one of you, when you called up here, you said, I don't know anything about making ice cream except that I love to eat it. And that was our starting point. And then 6 months from now, when I tell you how you can double the production of this machine, you're going to come back to me, you who said, I don't know anything about ice cream except that I love to eat it. You're going to say, oh, no, I can't hire someone to run my machine. I mean, they wouldn't know how to make my formulas. They wouldn't do it right. They're going to steal my formulas. And on and on. Every single excuse that you could ever believe, you have a problem. You need to double your output. And it's very simple. We are very pro here, police, fire, and military. I said this morning, Paula's father was NYPD. We both have military in Paula's family, my family. And the fastest way to double the production of this is every cop, every fireman, and many younger military who are out of the service, they all need extra income. We don't pay these people nearly enough money. I just spoke with Audrey the other day. I told this to Audrey a year ago, and she now has 2 policemen and a fireman working for her, making her ice cream. Every cop, like Paula's father, he was NYPD, New York Police Department on the East River, and in his free time to make more money, he was a landscaper out on Long Island. Here in Central Florida, we are furiously building homes and fencing everything in. We've got this obsession with fencing everything into gated communities. The cops and firemen and military are putting up fencing in their free time. So they're looking for extra work. You go into the police station or the fire department and you see the chief or you see the desk sergeant and say, I need your best guy, best woman to come and work the graveyard shift, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., following my formulas, which you have on a 3x5 file card. And they'll come and work, but they don't always have the graveyard shift off. So when you hire one, you're actually hiring three. That way you're covering 3 shifts, and you can pick how many days. You don't worry about the scheduling. You let one of the 3 make the schedule for you. So you say, I need someone in here Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday making ice cream. They'll be there. They're following your formulas. They're not going to steal your formulas. They're all going to do their 23 years and retire to Hilton Head, South Carolina. That's where everybody goes, who's a police or fire. But you've got a responsible person, and what I have found, I hire a lot of military, and Michaela in the control room, her husband's fire. Michaela was military. They all look at jobs differently. Back in the Bronx, everything I heard from my AFL-CIO union guys was, oh, I got to go put in my 8 hours at Emory-Thompson. I'd rather be home watching The View or Oprah and drinking beer at 11 o'clock in the morning. They had just no interest in working. These men and women with this background, everything is a mission to them. My mission tonight is to get 50, 60, 70 gallons of ice cream made for the boss. I have from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. and he wants 70 gallons. If I finish at 5:30, made my 7 gallons, I get home, I get paid till 6 for the 70 gallons. You're doubling your production without buying another machine from me. I'm talking myself out of selling machines. That's how committed I am to your business. You'll come around eventually. We'll be selling you more machines. But the thing is to get more output. This can run 24 hours a day. You didn't know anything about making ice cream, and now you're telling me that it's so exotic that only you can make it. It's not that difficult. If the 3 of us can do it up here, it's really that simple. So consider that as your business grows, that there is a workforce out there that you can hire to get more production out of this. And then when you do go to get rid of this, you have 2 considerations. If you're in your 30s or 40s, you're already thinking of a second store. There's just no question about it. So you say, okay, we open up the first store, it's going great, people know us, we have a reputation, we're going to open up a store 10 miles away, 15 miles away. A little too far to ship ice cream. So let's take this machine and put it over at the 900 square foot store, put the 24 cord into the main store, and now we don't deliver ice cream to the other store, we deliver the ice cream maker. The ice cream maker is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at us, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at the other store. So you're still continuing the use of this machine. And I guarantee you, the day you put this on eBay, it will, just like Jeff said, it'll sell in 2.5 hours. The only ones that don't are the ones that are so outrageously overpriced, like a machine from 2005 that I sold to him for $4,950, and he now has it up for sale for $10,000. That's being a little extreme. I'm sorry. Nobody's going to fall for that. Because you know what? They all call here. And they all say, I've got the serial number. When was it built? And we tell them, just like we'll tell you. I'm not anti-used machines. We'll tell you if it's good or bad. If I tell you it's bad, don't go near it. So we'll help you out on that. But that's how you're going to expand this business, because you're going to want to expand it in most cases. If you just stay... If it's going to be your retirement business and you're going to stay with one store, you're going to have all the fun in the world. And you're also going to be the most popular person in the neighborhood. The cookie people, just a quick funny story and then I'll shut up. We have another office over in Jupiter. We also have family over in Jupiter. And you're doing the cookies now. When you go into ice cream, it's going to be... your friends are going to say to you, oh, we love you. This vanilla is the best thing we ever had. It's absolutely fantastic. That's the first month. The second month, it's, wow, that vanilla you make is fantastic, but have you thought of putting maybe a couple more ounces in it? And then the third month is when you really get it. It's, my God, can't you make anything other than vanilla? We're sick of it. You know, the relatives and the freebies come out like crazy when you start making ice cream. And it's going to happen to all of you, so you heard it here first. Christy and I are going to make, what flavor is it? Sangria.
Pass one around?
So an Italian ice, but it's a alcohol Italian ice. Christy formulated this, as she does many of our new flavors. I'm not saying she likes to have alcohol at home, who doesn't? But she has a machine and I don't, so she comes up with these fantastic flavors.
What are the laws in regards to using alcohol? Because I know, like in our cookies, when we use the moonshine, the alcohol burns off.
Yeah.
So there's not an adulteration of the product. But in ice cream, it's not going to be burning off.
That's right, and so it's become very common now. But it didn't used to be common. When Jeff started, it was uncommon. Now it's not really a problem. Every state has a legal limit of what you can put in, and they're basically calling it an ingredient. Think of it like a bakery. They've been making baba rum since there was the history of bakeries, and nobody ever questioned it, and yet it's got rum in it. You find out from your state what the legal limit is. Maybe it's going to be, 3% by volume. Some mathematical thing that I don't even understand. And then just make sure you're 1/10 below that 3%. So when they come in and ask you, you can say, "Oh, well, the legal limit's we're 2.9." So that's going to handle that. But there just isn't a problem with doing it as long as you keep under their legal limit. And the legal limit's pretty generous. You're going to find out that you can put a fair amount. We're the only machines I know that you can put alcohol right in. Everybody else adds it as it's coming out and stirs it in, and then it melts your ice cream. We have so much refrigeration power, as you'll see when we take the tour, that alcohol goes right in here. I use, in the bigger machine, I usually use a fifth to a liter of alcohol. In this one, I use about a pint because you can overdo it. You can make it to the point where you taste the ice cream like that because it's got too much. And if you do that, you're probably way over the legal limit. And you're probably going to need a sign that says you must be over 21 years of age to consume this ice cream and we proof. And that's a bonus because the alcohol ice cream is going to cost more. So now, here's your regular flavors and then the over 21. And you can have fun with it. You can be a wise ass. You can have someone my age come in and say, "Well, I don't know. We're going to have to see your ID," and it's funny. So
there's not even nowhere near the amount of alcohol to get drunk by eating one little cup of ice cream.
No.
Nowhere near. So am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. When you work with wines or sangrias or liqueurs, you can add a little bit more than you can if you're working with like a vodka or a, like flavored vodkas or
the Malibu?
Moonshine, yes, or Everclear, things like that. You really can't, or Jack Daniels. You have to kind of shy off on those and do like a half a cup or a cup because the proof is so high. When you work with, wines and sangrias, which is a spiked juice, you can do half and half. So you can also do this with a wine. You can do half wine, half water, which is what we're going to do with the sangria. Everybody loves the sangria. If you have your own homemade recipe that you love, that you make, or your aunt or your grandma or your mom, use that recipe as well. I've been to plenty of bars where they make a fantastic sangria, and I wish I had the recipe. But in the meantime, we're going to use this store-bought Yago, I don't know how you say it. Anyway, so I've got my 2 quarts of water. You don't need fancy water. You don't need filtered water, distilled, vaporized, anything like that. Just plain old basic tap water. We're going to pour this in here till we get to 4 quarts. I get to have the rest, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But here's the secret. She's measuring. She's not asking you how much are we going to pour in and then just pour in the whole bottle.
Yeah.
Though she's getting... I didn't say anything. Measuring counts because you want it the same every single time. If you've got stinky water, definitely go buy that jugged water. I don't want to eat Italian ice with stinky egg water. Mm-mm. Real fast. If you're in a town like Brooksville and everybody grew up here, they don't know they have stinky water because they grew up here. It's what they drink. If you're in Miami, you got to filter the water because it's all us annoying New Yorkers coming down and we're complaining about the stinking water. So look at your market. If it's locals, you're good. If it's all tourists, filter the water. That's simple.
And then I've already got my 2 pounds of sugar measured out. Now, you don't have to add the sugar to the mixture first before you put it into the machine, but we like to do that and kind of get a little bit dissolved. The reason is the sugar acts like sandpaper. So if I were to pour this juice water into there, I called it juice, sangria and the water into the machine, then poured the sugar right behind it, the sugar is going to stick to the throat and kind of stick all over everything, and then as the machine's spinning, it acts like sandpaper. It's not going to destroy your machines, not going to destroy your blades if you decide to do that. It's just, instead of your blades lasting you, 5 years, this will only last you maybe 3 if you continuously keep doing it. Jeff will beg to differ on that because he's always doing it. But that's good. We just need to get the sugar wet and we're ready to go.
Jeff gets such severe discounts on parts that he doesn't care.
Now,
See, Christy immediately checked that the gate was open and closed it. Otherwise, it's going all over the floor. And I've done it on live TV plenty of times.
yeah. So notice that we're doing 4 quarts. It actually made it a little more than 4 quarts because of the sugar that we did add. I set the little bowl down. I'm going to give it a good little stir. When you're working with what? Non-dairy products, we can add a little bit more than normal because there is no expansion.
And again, Christy's raising the bucket up. If you rest it on the lip here, it's more likely to spill out the sides. But if you hold it up like that, no problem.
All right.
Not a drop.
So we're going to go ahead and do this. We can hit more recipes and hit Italian ice and start. Now you can go ahead and start freezing. I like to buy the frozen fruit instead of the fresh fruit. A couple reasons. One, frozen fruit's always picked at its season. It's always in season when it's frozen. It's very fresh when they pick it and they freeze it. What do they call it?
Instant quick frozen.
Yeah, IQF. That's what it is. Product. So, also, reason number 2 is when the berries thaw, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm sure you guys all know, it creates its own natural sweet juice in here. And it creates like a berry syrup, almost like. And even if you wanted to, you could open up your berries that you buy and throw them in a tub and sprinkle some more sugar on it so it makes some more natural sugar juice. And you can pour that into your ice cream, your ices, your sorbets. It's amazing. If you have a place where you live and it's peach festivals or strawberry festivals, go ahead, buy the fresh peaches, buy the fresh strawberries and use it. That's always a great local thing that you can see whenever you're at an ice cream store or frozen dessert, made with Brooksville's homegrown peaches, things like that. That's always good to do as well. So we're gonna go ahead and add our berries. This is blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Kind of what you'd find in a sangria.
And that came from Walmart, and it's a Walmart brand. You don't have to buy Dole pineapple or some other expensive brand because we're not putting it in a champagne glass and serving it as dessert. You want the name brands for dessert because they look better. They're prettier fruit. They're rated by how good they look. We don't care how it looks. It's going to be ground up here. So we're buying the store brand. It saves some money, but it's just plain convenient. They always have it.
Sangria has oranges, right? Here's some off-brand Grand Marnier. Let's add a splash. I think that's good. Now we talked about freeze times when we work with sugar. We just added alcohol, we added 2 pounds of sugar, and we added fruit, which is more sugar. So we're gonna have a pretty high freeze time on this. I'm gonna guesstimate anywhere from 16 to 18 minutes. When you work with anything that has, very high alcohol, where I think sangria is around 12%, and you diluted it with, exactly half of that of water, you should be all right. You try to do that with a bottle of Jack, it's not going to work out so well. You can't add that much Jack in a small machine. A whole bottle of Jack, I think you can do pretty good okay in this one, as long as you got an entire bladder of ice cream going in there. Any questions?
The alcohol never freezes because alcohol freezes at about minus 270 degrees. But it stays in suspension within the product. So we have enough, as I mentioned before, enough freezing power in here to freeze everything else in there so that the alcohol will, hold up very nicely. So you'll see the end result.
And I get asked, I brought it up before, how do I come up with my boozy ice recipes? I scroll through Facebook, social media, Instagram, and I see, the pretty little drinks that people are posting, or even liqueur companies that are posting their drinks, and I read the ingredients, what it takes to make that drink, and I'm like, well, I can make that into Italian ice. I came up with one. It was called a Florida Hurricane. Oh my gosh, it was my favorite. That's also in the book. It is blue curacao, makes it the most sea foam green you've ever seen, pineapple juice, cream of coconut, And what else? Oh, and whipped cream vodka. The best stuff I've ever had in my life. You know, and that was a drink. It was just a simple little drink. How you can come up with them. And then, of course, just walking down the aisles, and even the bottles themselves have recipes. I'm a big cook. I cook a lot. I bake a lot. So a recipe thing is what I do.
You know, it was about 6 or 7 years ago, everybody was calling what we're doing alcohol-infused ice cream. You know, I'm thinking, well, that's interesting. You fill a syringe and Jack Daniel and I've got it. I mean, it was just such a highbrow name that it just annoyed me. And then this one lady calls up one day and she goes, "Can I make boozy ice cream with your machine?" And I started laughing. You can't help but laugh about the term boozy. So yes, we're doing boozy ice cream. It just sounds like a lot of fun, and it's great. People love it. It's not so much that it's a mixed drink, but it's enough to give you a great and different, unique flavor. Strawberry daiquiris all day long.
Any questions? No? We just all want to have sangria? Yes, sir.
How long can you store this? How long can it settle? Like we put it in the freezer, a month?
Oh.
Can you repeat it?
So how long can you keep your just alcohol-based ones? Yeah,
Yes.
the alcohol-based Italian ice or sorbets that you do make. I've noticed if you don't use a stabilizer when you're working with alcohol, if you push even a week, you'll start to see it separating. You know, go ahead.
Well, does it break down the fat content?
There is no fat. It's sugar, water, and alcohol.
Oh, it's sugar, water. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sugar, water, and alcohol. So you're going to start to see it separate. Yeah, you're going to start seeing all of the sugar and all of your heavy products are going to start going to the bottom, and you're going to be left with your frozen water pretty much on the top. So you'll start seeing it look like a gradient, and it doesn't taste very good. So you got to use, if you're not using a stabilizer, fairly quickly. Within, I would say, 3 to 5 days is always going to be your safest best bet.
So the bottom. So if you're doing a lot of Italian ice, lemon, cherry, grape, mango, whatever, make a lot of them, but make very little of this. Use what you think you're going to need. I am very big on talking about the weather, that you look a day or two in advance and see, okay, tomorrow's Thursday. We should start looking to see what the weekend's going to look like because we're going to a fair or a festival. And determine, okay, now Friday afternoon we'll make the boozy sangria, so it isn't going to sink over the weekend. Or if the weather looks terrible, maybe we won't even make the sangria. We'll store our lemon and cherry, but we won't make the sangria. So you're just adjusting your business practices rather than trying to change the product and stabilize it with chemicals. Never a good idea.
Okay. I'm leaving. So I want to thank you all, especially all those who've taken the class this time, and I'll see you next time.
Yay! Thank you, Jeff. What did you bring today? The Learjet or the Grumman?
See ya.
We'll see you, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff, so much. Thank you so
Look at this. The man's so cool, he's got to wear shades.
Jeff said I can just email you, right, if I need anything.
Anything, Willie.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeff.
Jeff, Brandy, your information.
Drive safe.
Yep. Or fly safe. You said I have a beer.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Happy landings.
You know, and even when you're making ice cream, adding alcohol, I make a fantastic Irish cream cake. It has Bailey's liqueur in it. You can do the same thing. You can make a Bailey's ice cream. You can, or a coffee Kahlua. You can add, I've done that many times. You can add instant coffee. Have we talked about that yet?
No.
Did you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Pardon me. So whenever you're making, to finish the coffee Kahlua, you would do instant coffee and then you would add your Kahlua to make a Kahlua coffee ice cream. It's amazing. So there are all different kinds of coffee, your fresh ground coffee, you know, and your instant coffee. Well, that's your thing. I had vanilla. You can still use it though. But instant coffee is always the best way to go when you're making a coffee ice cream. Instant coffee is designed to dissolve. Some people do a cold brew coffee. They'll buy themselves like a little cold brew pot and they'll brew it and then they'll make their ice cream with that. I have learned, Steve taught me to use this instant coffee and it dissolves beautifully. It turns it a light brown color. It looks like coffee, it smells like coffee, and it's great. There is a slight bitterness to it when you're working with this, and Steve's favorite thing to add to it is a couple squirts of Hershey syrup to get rid of the bitterness, while I like to add a couple splashes of vanilla to get rid of the bitterness. So it's a preference. You can each do whichever you want. You can taste it, you can try it, yes. Have I tried French press coffee? I've personally drank it, but not in an ice cream, no.
You're just going to water down the ice cream or the ice because it's liquid. We're adding just a pure powder. So no, you don't want to use real coffee. It's too much work and it's not going to do that good a job for you.
He's done it one time and I still prefer instant coffee over actual brewed coffee that's been steeped, and I don't care how fancy you name it, how long you said you steeped it for. It's from Columbia Hills. No, just use $7 instant coffee.
I told you before that everybody steals my ice cream from the insurance broker to the bankers. Everybody who comes in here, I just never seem to have any ice cream. And my sister, when she moved down here from Chicago, told her don't take any ice cream. So what does she do? She takes home some of my coffee ice cream made with the taster's choice. And then I don't see her for 3 days.
By the cat.
I got, and she's haven't seen her for 3 days, and she comes into the factory and she looks all haggard and worn out. I said, "What happened to you?" I said, "I got hungry, so I ate a pint of your coffee ice cream before I went to bed. I've been up 3 days." So I switched and I bought the decaf, because think about it, you eat ice cream oftentimes at night before you go to bed. I know I do. When Paul is all going off to sleep, I'm there sneaking my own ice cream. Use the taster's choice. It's not going to make, and I'm a coffee snob. I wouldn't drink this if it was the last coffee on earth. But I make it with the taster's choice, and now there's very little decaf in it. So that's just a little trick.
Now I have,
Go on.
I have made coffee ice cream and put a scoop and then put a cold brew coffee and poured it on top, and just had like a coffee ice cream with some coffee syrup, I guess you should call it. And that was very, very good.
And you took one of my formulas and you added covered espresso beans.
Yes,
that
chocolate
cool.
covered espresso
that was
beans.
Great.
Yeah, those are very good. So we're pushing almost 12 minutes.
13 would be the normal freeze time, so.
So we'll do a cutoff check and kind of see. Whoops, shot out at me.
Yeah, it's got a while.
Got a little, oh, that's so good.
Like you said, because of the extra sugar and the alcohol, yes.
Have you guys ever done any of the ice creams using ice cream syrups? Or not, sorry, the coffee syrups like French vanilla or hazelnut or?
I only heard coffee syrup. What was the other part?
Have you guys ever made the ice creams using the coffee syrups, like the big huge pumps of them?
No, I haven't. Again, taster's choice or Folgers or any of the freeze-dried, they're real coffee. Anything else is going to be just a coffee flavor that they add sugar to. So it's not the real deal. Do be careful. These come with a 25-cent coupon inside, and if you're just pouring it in the machine, so goes the coupon. And now you've lost your 25 cents. And it doesn't add flavor to the ice cream. Yes.
Unrelated to this particular flavor, but address dipping cabinets. I know you had said something about not having the dipping cabinets where people can see it, but I think that I probably will use the dipping cabinets so people can see the tubs of ice cream, but where to get them, a specific kind. I know the ones that we have now, they've got bars in the middle and they're in the way of dipping all the time, and then trying to adjust the freezer temperature is like a guess rather than being, I think they may make some that have digital thermometers on them now that make it easy. Just give your thoughts on dipping cabinets.
On dipping cabinets, my personal thought would be don't buy Italian dipping cabinets. They are absolutely gorgeous. When a normal cabinet costs $3,000 or $4,000, they cost $35,000 to $40,000, and it's a whole different construction. At the end of the day, in a gelateria over in Milan or Florence, the employee pulls out the Windex, cleans this, cleans that, cleans this. At the end of the day, in an American ice cream parlor, the employee takes out the Windex bottle, throws it at the dipping cabinet, and says, "You better damn well work tomorrow." I mean, it's a different construction. I use Kelvinator, is a good American-made cabinet.
Kelvinator?
Kelvinator. And my favorite is a company called Nelson. The full name is C as in Charlie, and then Nelson. I have over in the corner a Nelson cabinet. I just bought a new lid for it. The lid wore out. It was a $200 lid. It wore out after 23 years. So I'm not too complaining about that. I mean, it's still going very strong. I'll be with you in a minute. It's going strong, and I think either Kelvinator or Nelson has cabinets that can mimic the looks of the American one with the curved glass in the front. But I was talking to a man yesterday who had the Italian machines, and he was the one who said these things didn't last him 5 years because you can't get parts. They break down. They're very fancy. And he said that curved glass makes it a really difficult procedure to clean anything that's dropped towards the front, towards the public. So a more straight glass. I always liked the idea that years ago Swenson's ice cream parlors did out on the West Coast, where they bought just a straight Kelvinator, ugly white front, really not attractive, and they had a carpenter build a false front in front of it of just plywood and molding and stained it mahogany and made it bright and shiny, and it looked like the most expensive cabinet in the world, and behind it was just a plain old Kelvinator. You could see in and see the ice cream. And I think, yeah, you're right, because of the cookies. You buy cookies by looks. We can buy ice cream by signs. I look up, do you have my mint chip? And if you do, great, I'll take a mint chip. But for your particular business, yeah, I would go with some kind of visual, they call it a visual display cabinet, as opposed to the old-fashioned, the lid flopping over like that, or sliding back and forth.
Yeah, can you get it without the glass? Ours right now, currently, the doors slide on the top, and we just, and there's divider bars in there. It makes it difficult sometimes to get to the tub.
Yeah.
So where they're more open and less cumbersome.
Well, right behind you are, you can look, those are what I call the floppy door lids that not only flop over onto themselves, but they also pull away.
We're ready.
This is ready, and then I'll get back to your question.
We are ready. We ready to see the pretty sangria? So we made it to about 16 minutes.
That's good. Can I take that?
Sure. Okay.
Look at that color. Isn't that beautiful? And there's no artificial anything in there. That's just gorgeous color. And it's a nice firm product ready to go right into the freezer. If you ran out and had to serve it, if you left it in the freezer for a couple hours, it would be just fine. But that's beautiful. All natural.
I'm going to leave the gate open to let it keep coming out.
So this was a total of about 7 quarts that we got out. Yes?
If you're not using alcohol, just making regular Italian ice, how long can you store that?
How long can I store it?
Right, how long, yeah.
I could store it for
2
6.
weeks?
I could store it for 6 months at 10 below zero.
10 below zero?
Yeah. In my dipping case, if I only use sugar, water, and flavor like I do, and you go into a real Italian pastry shop in Astoria, Queens, or Brooklyn, the ice in there is no more than 3 days old.
Okay.
In fact, I talked about those floppy cabinets, doors that goes over like that. You go into a good pastry shop, and you'll see the server reach down, and you see the server's arm moving like this 2-3 times, and then scoop and put it into the squeeze cup and hand it to you. What they're doing is, since there's no chemicals in there, a little puddle of lemon juice formed in the center of the tub that you can't see. That's why we don't use the visual display for ices. And the old-fashioned cabinet holds its temperature better 16 degrees, warmer than ice cream. And so they're remixing it and then handing it to you. And that is a perfect product. And so you wouldn't want to see a bunch of flavors where it was separating a little bit. I could stop the separation with stabilizer, but I'm doing such a big business and I'm only making what I need the night before, or I can make it anytime I want. I can make it a month in advance. I'm pulling it out of 10 below and putting it into the serving cabinet the night before. It'll warm up evenly.
Okay.
Ladies, you may ask or wonder why us men won't do a darn thing in the kitchen, except me. I do all the cooking. They won't do a darn thing in the kitchen, but if you're having guests over and they volunteer right away to serve the ice cream. Why? Because you made a mistake. You took it out of the freezer and put it on the counter at the start of dinner. And it's all melting around the outside. And then it's 1 scoop of melted ice cream for the dish, 1 scoop for me. Another one for the dish, another one for me. So we're eating a ton of ice cream as we're serving it. The proper way to serve and sell Italian ice and ice cream is to move it from your freezer into a warmer environment where it'll all warm up together. So before dinner, you move your ice cream, your Haagen-Dazs or your sorbet into the refrigerator. It all warms up together, so you scoop it without that melt around the outside, because it'll always melt around the outside before it gets to the core. So then we call that tempering. Yes?
Sorry, no, you go.
No, what's stabilizer? What are you talking about?
A stabilizer in ice cream is already in there with the dairy. It's a guar gum or a carrageenan. I mentioned this morning polysorbate 80. Don't use polysorbate 80. Don't use anything artificial. If you can't pronounce it, you don't want it in your ice cream.
To temper, which temperature is that? Or what is this?
If you are an Italian ice business, one of the gentleman next to you, I think, is a truck. You have your ice in one of these chest freezers at 10 below zero. We want to scoop at 16 above. So that's a long way, 10 below to 16 above. So I'm going to move it the night before from 10 below zero because the weather looks good, no storms coming, no rain, and I'm going to move it to my 16 above cabinet overnight, and it'll all be ready for me to scoop.
For ice cream?
Ice cream is 10 below zero, and then move it into my ice cream cabinet, which is 6 above. The ices are 16 above. My mistake. 16 above. Ice cream is 6 above. Pretty simple. Those are your scooping temperatures. And however way is most convenient for you to get to it. How's this ice?
Good.
Good.
Very good. So what do you guys think?
Yeah?
Love it.
Good. Me too.
Is this the first time you made this one, Christy?
With sangria, yes. I've done the same exact thing with red wine.
Right.
Exact amounts. I swapped it out for the sangria. The red sweet wine was very good. Any cheap red sweet wine. That's the thing when you work with alcohol. It doesn't have to be a Bailey's. It can be a St. Brennan's, which is half the cost. It doesn't have to be the most expensive sangria. It can be Yago. That, I think, costs like $12. Not a big deal. The things that matter when it comes to flavoring, when you make products of any kind, it matters with your Oreos. Nobody makes an Oreo better than Oreo Nabisco. It's an Oreo. You can't buy a knockoff one. Same thing with M&M's. Chocolate chips, Walmart, doesn't matter. Nestle Toll House, doesn't matter. When it comes to fruit, doesn't matter. Just the things that you'd be picky. But mayonnaise, everybody's got a preference for, but we don't want to put that in ice cream. Got it? Any questions?
So for storing your ice creams in the gelato pan at night, you just cover, or do you use plastic wrap or parchment paper?
They come with, so here's the actual pans, the hard ones that you see here. And then they have a liner, which is what you see us been using. So you put this in there and you have this all lined up, and then this comes out because that's your liner. And then there's 2 tops that they have. These, which break an ungodly amount of time. See, it's done and over with. And then they have these that you could put right on top. I would cover it with this. But if you're using small gelato pans, you'll probably go through them quite fast. So I would make sure you definitely have some of these on hand, and then these also for storing, because these will stack a lot better than these will.
If you're wholesaling, these tops are great.
Yes.
And these are terrific because it's just a liner. I'm using it as if it was this $90 gelato pan. I mean, this is just real simple to use. Also, as rents, it's funny what ties, at least in my mind, what ties things together. As rents are going up to businesses and restaurants, the owner of the restaurant is looking at his restaurant and saying, okay, I've got 20 seats out here. If I take this space from here to here away from the chef, I can add another 8 seats. That's more revenue coming in. So the poor chef is now stuck with less space. So he's looking at, he's only got this one freezer, and he's got to put meats and fish and everything else in it. Haagen-Dazs comes along and says, hey, we'll deliver you 16 tubs once every 2 weeks, 3-gallon tubs. And you want to get into the wholesale business too. And the executive chef says, okay, Haagen-Dazs is a bunch of these once every 2 weeks. Or I can get a delivery from you every 4 days, and they're in these gelato pans. So this thing takes up a lot of space in that freezer. But with the gelato pans, if I had all plastic, I would have 2 this way, 2 that way, and 2 this way, pretty much for just a little bit more than 1 tub of flavor. So I'm offering the chef 6 tubs of ice cream and ices, as opposed to 1 tub of the regular way of delivering it. So these are really handy. Also, I talked this morning about how when you go to scoop it, it's easier to scoop this way than that way. So these have a lot of advantage. It's gelatosupply.com. If you forget the name, you can call us. And I made a deal with them that you get a, was it 5 or 10%?
Huh?
The discount from Gelato Supply.
10.
10% off by using the code name Emery Thompson in block letters, which don't tell them, but it's really a lot of fun because they also sell a brand of gelato machines to make the gelato. So now they're using my name, advertising my name in their company, which sells an Italian batch freezer. So I'm a little devious, but 10% off, that's not bad. Yes?
Pros and cons of selling commercial as well as retail.
They don't pay their bills. You have to be ruthless. You have to say, okay, I'll give you, if I have to, I'll give you net 15 because I know you can't be, the executive chef isn't going to write a check every time I walk in. I'll give you net 15, but if you go beyond 30 days, I cut you off and you're back to Haagen-Dazs. And they'll pay their bills. So.
Oh, no, not the bills, just the pros and cons of selling commercial versus retail, or also with retail.
I think it's fine selling wholesale. I like it. It gets your name out there. They're probably going to use in their restaurant your name because nobody's impressed by Haagen-Dazs. We all have it and love it. But when it's a separate brand, they're going to say, oh, our restaurant features their cookies. That's a draw to go to that restaurant.
Street still is a good idea.
I'm sorry?
Like we're talking about selling to the restaurant across the street, which seemed like a really good idea until we get another version of how a restaurant can ruin your product and make it look bad. So I'm curious to know what do you see any downside?
No. Normally we would say the normal markup to a restaurant would be 33%. But that's out the window now. I think I would make some phone calls and say, call up Haagen-Dazs, call up Ben & Jerry and say, I'm in the planning stages or the final construction. I'm in the final construction stage of opening up a restaurant in my town. Can you give me a general idea of what it's going to cost to buy Haagen-Dazs? And then you find out what their prices are. And then you know what your cost is. Your cost is probably about $20 for a tub. And on average, and they're selling for $38. So, you come in at $38. I wouldn't sell it for less. How do you prove you're better if you cost less?
For what size of a container are you talking about?
Whatever it is that they're looking to buy.
Okay.
If they're looking to buy this, it's going to be a 3-gallon tub from Haagen-Dazs. So and if you want to work these, you say, well, we're going to give you let's see, 3, 4, 3, 12. We're going to give you 2 of these for that same price. But I would look into it, but you know, if you're set up for it, if you've got the labor and you want to, but the biggest money in selling frozen desserts is individually, pints and individual cones. Jeff would say that at great length. He said, big deal, you made the difference between $20 and $38. I made the difference between $20 and $378 by selling it by the scoop. So he's absolutely right. The best money is selling it direct to the end user. And now that we've introduced pints and half pints into that mix, it's even better. So I think I just talked myself out of doing wholesale.
Changing the subject real quick. After having my...
Ah, you went all day.
No, I did it once earlier. Okay, there we go. After going on my second cup of this, I would have actually liked to have put a cup or two, probably a cup of a lavender syrup in here to have a background of lavender that's coming through. You know, we always talk about this cup. By the way, don't eat what's in here because this cup's gross. It's been over there for God knows how long. But that's what it looks like. This alone right here is a big money maker. You put it in this cup, as Steve said, you're going to charge, you know, $4 or $5 because it's got alcohol. You put it in this, you can charge $12, $13 for it. You know, if you're in a high-end area doing a very nice catering event, you could buy little individual glasses to set out, you know, to put this in. And then having that with that lavender and maybe just a little sprig of mint. I don't know, I'm getting a little fancy here. You can easily, you know, pass that off as a very high-end retail. It's the same thing. Put it in this cup and go over there around the corner.
Wouldn't it be great at a wedding? Those plastic champagne glasses that you can buy that you screw the bottom on.
Yep.
Charge them, you know, $9 each or something like
put
that.
a little mint leaf in the top.
Serve it on that so people can have more than one. It would be beautiful.
So even just doing something simple like that, and me eating 2 cups and sitting here thinking about it while he's talking and tasting it some more and some more. And you'll see Jeff do that too if you've ever watched past videos. He'll take a bite and he'll and he'll think about it. And I think lavender would have paired amazingly with this. I know probably the majority haven't had lavender in a frozen dessert. It's amazing. It's very amazing. It's very subtle. It's very calming. It has a great background to it, and it's very prominent on its own as well. So just adding a little bit of splash of that would be very good. But I think we're done.
Okay, Kendall is.
Go ahead.
Kendall's here. She is the heart of Emery Thompson. The rest of us are the cold conglomerate. We're just out for your money aspect of Emery Thompson.
You call Emery Thompson. She's the first person.
She's the heart and soul, and she's been putting her heart and soul into making these certificates for you.